matchup that is just happened earlier today between Bobby Wasabi and Redbird Esports. For those of you that don't know, Redbird Esports is also in collegiate, so we'll get to see what they're looking like. They're both contenders and collegiate, and they're probably expected to be roughly the king of both. So let's take a look there, see what we've got, and do what makes sense here. Okay, let's get into it.
We only saw 2 maps with them because they rolled Solaris so quickly. So a lot of May Symmetra and May Hanzo.
I'm going to turn her down a little bit more. No, that's
bit
about as low as I'm going to be able to turn them down. Okay, fine.
In the past, that if you're good at one composition, if you were truly cracked at one thing, what's the point of changing it?
If you guys want a cheat sheet for this, it's at Redbird. They want to go into this round.
So a 37 map win streak, that's cool and all, except most of that was coming up through trials, and trials teams are frequently a meaningful level below contenders teams, but we'll see.
Versus Reinhardt.
Why Twitch? I'm just doing some back and forth. It makes sense to cross-pollinate. It makes sense to grab people between the two different platforms here. That's what we're going to do. Okay, back to this.
They would prefer to be able to play with their own dive compositions. That's where hydration is at their best.
So here we are. We see we're coming out. We're rolling out with both of these comps. This isn't too wild. We see that they are choosing to come out with fairly standard brawl comps on the night market map here. Now, it's not at all weird to see Symmetra on night market. Like, this has just become the standard over the last year or so of, we're going to hit our TP and go in. It's a little more, I don't want to say different, but it's a little different to be rolling out with the Doomfist as well here. But definitely not unheard of, especially because if they use that teleporter, they'll have that first slam. They can potentially punch into the other teleporter. Like, there are some interesting things there that make it not a terrible idea. What's actually a little more interesting to me is that they're both starting on the Divas. I'm surprised that neither team, I'm not surprised, but one team greeting into Winston would have been absolutely something that can happen, something that they can do, something that we might see. And the reason that you do that is, hey, if you greed into the Winston, you can potentially fight this a little bit better. Now, if neither team is going to Zarya, your Winston, you sort of end up in a situation where do you really want to Winston into the other team's diva, and that may be the chess game of sorts that is going back and forth there. And once you get to a high enough level, it's true. Both teams do stop Zaryaing and do start diving more, which might be why we don't see the Winston swap. Let's continue out here. Would you say it's weird not to run Symmetra on night market? If you're running Brawl, yes, and usually you're going to run Brawl, so yeah. Okay, so we came in here. We're seeing these from Bobby Wasabi's perspective. No problem. They're going for the sim play. And what did we get there? Did we just lose our sim? Did we just zoom out, or did our sim get knocked down by something? Sim got knocked down effectively by the Doomfist there. Yep, speedily, sure. Sure. That's not wild. You're sort of going, hey, we're going to charge up. We have our sim to win us the match, not slowly, pretty quickly, but to have a bit of a build-up to her strength and power. And you have Doomfist, who is kind of an explosive burst and then is weak on power and then gets back up in his power level. So that sort of makes sense that you're going, hey, we'll mix these two DPS. Nothing too wild. Bap just deleted them. I mean, that happens, yeah. Baps do a lot of damage. Right, sim does take longer to see returns, it's true.
For those of you who remember the 2019 Gauntlet in Seoul, oh man, we do miss lands, don't we? Sorry. Damn you, COVID. Speedily was one of the premier Doomfist in a Doomfist-centric meta.
Okay, so they're trying to fight their way in. We sort of want to see this. We don't actually get camera control because this isn't a replay review. This is looking at the official broadcast. And we see that they're trying. They're trying to figure out how is Redbird going to get into here when Bobby Wasabi has control. And generally in Brawl, the team with control is in better shape, especially when Sims are in play, because that's hard to get into. A Sim is able to preset her turrets. The way to soften this up would usually be to spam from multiple angles, but we don't really see Redbird doing that. We see that we've got our S9MM, we see that we've got our Doomfist down main, we've got Ultraviolet threatening down main, we see that our Sim, Hydron is threatening down main, everyone is threatening down main. There's no, like, Diva over here threatening in, or Doomfist threatening to come in from this direction as the team goes in here. There's nothing like that. Now, obviously, someone threatening over here could potentially be overwhelmed, taken care of, and then pushed back, and, you know, you'd happily take the 5v6, even if you have to fight into a Redbird that has moved in, because it's not like they'll have established control to not let you in at that point. They'll have just gotten in themselves. So you'd happily do that. So there's definitely counter punish to them trying to punish like that. This is a hard map in a lot of ways because the rotation around to the other sides that you'd like to threaten from, if you're running a brawl comp, are pretty darn separated from your main threat. So it's a tough one to retake into. I would not at all be surprised to see Bobby Wasabi hold this for 99% from here. Okay, let's continue here. They're just pushing it in. And pushing it in, unsurprisingly, speedily gets his choice of pick and is happy to remove Hydron from the equation. Okay. I mean, I get it. Like, you're thinking, oh, our different angle threat will be our Sim. We'll Sim TP behind you. That'll be the second angle. But it's not like we haven't seen that a bajillion times before. And it's not without blood, but we pretty convincingly see Bobby Wasabi hold through the next fight here. Okay, so they did spend Shatter, but we've got DPS ults set up for Bobby Wasabi here, as well as Window, and really we've got Self-Destruct as well. False is finishing the charge up there. Redbird basically have nothing to do this. Like, if they hit an amazing slam or something, that can open things up, and they'll probably at that point be willing to invest their remaining ults in that. That wouldn't really surprise me. But if they don't have anything deeper than this TP play, I'm going to be a bit disappointed. Reiner's just going. Okay. You do that. Unsurprisingly, we see the wall come out. Was that just to bait the wall? Are you now leaving? That's sort of better, but now Speedily's in. What happened there was, so I understand we have this. We have the situation of Reiner tries to back out as the Sim wall and the Doomfist Ultra in play, but Reiner still goes down to hydration. Hydron and hydration in the same match is a little annoying, just from a name standpoint. Then we go here, and this is going to be here, so we just have both Doomfists pulling off their shenanigans. Speedily eventually punishing S9's, but S9 got his 2, so it really doesn't matter. Okay. It's just a messy fight, but because Redbird did get value initially there, they were willing to spend all of their ults into it. Does False have a way to equalize this? No. Now they're just going to stabilize with Beat, and that should be enough. Why, False? What is this? Okay, so OG is beating. No problem. OG is beating. Fight with this. There's 3 of you. You're okay. Fight with the Beat. It's not like they massively outnumber you. Why are we self-destructing? Why are we self-destructing? Why are we self-destructing? I don't even care that you got him. Like, I wanted you to get value out of your Beat first. The way this works is your Beat is like, you have a bunch of extra power. They don't really want to brawl with you. They want to kite you. If they do try to brawl with you, you have hundreds of extra health for the brawl. So you're like powerful during that. Okay, so that's cool. They don't really want to fight you. They try to kite you. Similar thing happens when you throw a self-destruct. You throw in a self-destruct, and they don't really want to brawl you because they want to figure out, wait, how do I get away from this self-destruct? Do I need to run from this self-destruct? Do I need to run into you? Am I using cooldowns to defend against the self-destruct, putting a Rhine barrier up, using amp speed to run away from, whatever? Well, that makes you vulnerable to our team. They both sort of work as power spikes, and they're power spikes that occupy the same role. You don't really want to do both at once very often, and I don't like seeing both at once here. Sim's main problem is just that she's pretty garbage on long-range maps where she can't easily beam people. Yeah, she's super niche. She's not that niche. She's not as niche as people thought, and people are realizing that she's less niche than people thought over the last, I'd even say, 4 months or so. You think S9MM is pronounced Sam? I've thought about it. I thought about calling him Sam, but hey. Overwatch pros treat self-destruct as a throwaway areas? Not always. Not at all. Like, sometimes they do, but other times it's considered the most valuable ult on the field. Like, do not underestimate self-destruct. Do you think self-destruct will potentially need a rework with 5v5? Probably. It's just so much tank presence off the board. Like, it's so much tank presence off the board in general when she's not in mech, but I don't think they're going to take away the identity. They probably won't rework it, but it's painful to think about. You now have to play the game without a tank on the board when there's only one tank on the board when she's lost her mech. Like, that's just disgusting. Like, that is just disgusting to think about. Like, you're going to have to reset even faster. She's going to have to get her mech back in like 2 seconds, even if it gets destroyed or something, because that is... No. We'll see what they do. So is this just going to be a stall out by Bobby Wasabi? Are they going to try to push back in? They are. They're going to push back in. And they do get... Not only do they get... Ooh, that's big. Not only do they get the sim wall out of Hydra to protect it for the retake, they actually stop it from flipping. So that's big.
Somehow False just landed that self-destruct right on top of him. Maybe they've played together for so long that he knows where Ultraviolet likes to hide and was just like, I'm going to put it over there. And then Ultraviolet...
No, Elric, Nade won't be just a free fight win. Nade won't just be a free fight win against teams with like Hoggerball. Hoggerball may be terrible or they may be great, but it's not just going to be a free fight win against teams that don't have Rhine or Diva or something like that. Nades get hit all the time in Overwatch that don't get followed up on. Like even at the highest level, nades get hit that don't get followed up on. You can get hit by a nade and go back behind cover, all that stuff. Okay.
Bobby Wasabi is starting this off so quickly, and if Speedly can get another opening pick, Redbird might be straight back to the drawing board.
Redbird don't even have time for any kind of poking phase. It's not...
What? So our ult banks are pretty even. Yes, we have an ult on the board for Redbird and not for Bobby Wasabi, which does give Redbird a pretty serious advantage. 1 versus 0 is a lot bigger than 2 versus 1 when it comes to ults. But what do we have happen here? So is this just Sam goes fishing? This is just Sam goes fishing and catches King. And Iron is able to take advantage of Hydra pulling out of position to try to deal with that while their own sim works on him. Okay. So, desperation fishing wins. Sometimes that happens with Doomfist. Yeah, we'll see why a shock. We'll see what the buff of everyone regaining health for the support cast does. But remember, the DPS cast are all going to get a movement speed buff. So they're going to be better at finishing people off. Okay, do we have a better retake option from Bobby Wasabi than we did from Redbird? Because from Redbird, we basically saw we can send a sim TP behind you, we can pretend to send a sim TP behind you, or we can go fishing with Sam. Those were pretty much our options. Do we get anything better from Bobby Wasabi? The map is not great for retakes. Why is Reiner eliminated here? Iron? Iron? Like, there's a shatter. Why is Iron not able to DM during the shatter? Why? Why is Iron not able to DM before the shatter? Huh. Or during the shatter, rather. Like, sure, there's windows, but like...
chasing down, displacing the tanks, executing the supports. Speedily has to be stopped. And Redbird without Ultraviolet, they're just not going to have the resources. Reiner was left on his own. Lucamino is trying to keep this point capped and maybe has to keep touching for overtime as OG gets ready to boot them off.
They just need to make sure that they don't let that Doomfist go fishing. Don't let Sam go wild and you'll be fine.
And overtime it will be. Bobby Wasabi may be taking this, but Hydron's turrets took down speedily and
Okay.
Jet is missing. Bobby Wasabi, this should have been in their hands.
It should have. Like, you just played standard and you kept an extra eye on Sam with false and you won.
Hydration didn't trust his team.
Let's take another look at that because that fight should not have gone that way. Both sim walls are in play. False sends out the Lucio. Are we just letting Hydron charge off the Rhine shield? No, you then go hide it. So where's this value coming in? Okay. Where is this value coming in for Redbird? Diva's pushing, doesn't matter. The sim is being allowed to do things and is not being pounced on. Like, there's a sim right to our left that, yes, is outside past the choke, but this is the split angle push that we were talking about the whole time, or from the beginning, and they're doing it now out of desperation. But, like, you can go pounce on the split group. You, in general, have a duty to pounce on Symmetras. If Symmetras teleport themselves behind you, if Symmetras go off on flanks, if Symmetras get two into their front line and aren't using their tanks as walls to shoot through enough, you have a duty to pounce on them because they charge up. Like, this character can blow up. Yes, he's the guy that we expect to go, hey, he might just go fishing and get a bunch of people, but why is Hydron being allowed to live out there when we could easily go punish that with a Doomfist, with a Lucio, with a Reinhardt plus Lucio, Doomfist, Diva, any of these guys plus Reinhardt, or just any of these guys excluding Reinhardt, could easily go punish this sim, and the Diva's not going to be able to protect her enough. And it doesn't matter if they then get in a little bit, as long as Sam specifically isn't allowed to go wild. And again, this is mostly going to be a case of, okay, false, don't let Sam go wild, and then Lucamino plus Reiner, go solve this. It's over. Oh, I'm backwards, aren't I? I'm backwards. Yes. False, solve that. And then some combination of hydration plus either OG or speedily or whatever. Go, don't let this happen. And you win. You win. Is Ultraviolet the Super Saiyan version of Violet?
Boop them off, was successful at hitting Sam with that. As the Symmetra turrets up King, slow down Hydron on the main entry.
Yeah, those are different roles, Violet and Moth.
And at 99% and overtime it will be. Bobby Wasabi may be taking this, but Hydron's turrets took down speedily, and Jet is missing. Bobby Wasabi, this should have been in their hands.
Yeah, it should have been. That was poorly handled.
Sam falls so low and is taken over to the cliffs, and hydration, but just a little bit too high, and the second that shield turns, Hydron is on him.
Okay.
Didn't trust his teammates to
Sure.
take care of the Symmetra turret. I mean, it was like a 3v3, and it really got chaotic. I mean, that was a minute-long fight. Redbird still have to close the gap in the score.
Sam returns right
There we go.
now.
That's
Doomfist duel between
not
Speedley
quite what I want.
and Sam.
There we go.
Speedley's got the advantage when it comes to a meteor strike this time. That means you can make a
Okay.
ability engagement.
So we're looking here. We now see that Bobby Wasabi has to go for the retake. They're looking at it with Slam on the board, Earth Shatter rather, and then they've also got potentially DPS ults. Redbird has window, which they're committing, and they're committing it so they can threaten multiple lanes. Note that we're not going, let's window here. We saw a window from the outside that was really just threatening this lane. This window is just better, because this window If we want to shoot down this way, we can. If we want to shoot down this way, we can. It covers multiple lanes. That's a better window. Oh, but we've wasted all this space and the window isn't working here. Who cares? There's so much space on this window, not on BAP's original window, but on BAP's new, not new anymore window, that you don't care about, oh, you can't use this space, it's not helpful, it's been wasted. You have so much ability to navigate shots through these spots that this is a good window. And if someone's standing here, you can open the angle a little bit and still shoot them through the window and get them. So this is how we like to see our windows used.
Super fast in the during the channel.
And that's what I was hoping Sir Majed did earlier, is using the window early, just because it forces the other team to hide and you're by.
But why? Is this caster telling us exactly why we didn't want to use this window yet? Oh, I accidentally muted. Can I get one tick? No, that is one tick. So you have your window, but you're not willing to push out at all because you don't want to give up your turret advantage. I don't know about that. They have Shatter, though.
Super fast in the
You don't really want your window to just be a we buy time. Like, you do need to actually get something out of your window.
And that's what I was hoping Sir Majed did
Yeah.
earlier, is using the
No, window for time is not right. You needed to either let them commit a little bit further or be willing to go out. Maybe you send Lucamono around to boop them in as you've gone for the window type thing. Like, you don't really need Lucamono to help your team when they're already set up there. Yeah, he helps heal them up during the poke phase, but you could have sent him around. If your plan was always to window this engage, you could have sent him around the outside, and as you window, he boops them in to sort of, if he sees them start to back up, he boops them in, and then, oh, there you go. That really helps. That keeps them there longer, lets you break the Rhine shield, lets you get the elimination, all that good stuff.
Forces the other team to hide.
Should Rhine also stand in the middle so he covers both sides slightly, or just pick a side? He has to pick a side. He has to pick a side and he has to adjust, and he's not standing there with his shield up. He doesn't need to do that. He's ready to swing into it. He's ready to swing into a side.
And you're buying yourself.
Like we're seeing here. So this is a fire strike. But once the fire strike is over, you see he's picked his side, and he's actually hiding behind the wall, but he's swinging into the open space. He's doing it correctly. Could be hit scan.
Percentage on this objective, but now that that's gone away, the photon bear from Bobby Wasabi splits the point in half. Hydron has used this too.
Okay.
There's so many colors.
So that is a lot of colors. You go for your TP play. Can you get any follow-up on it, though? No. Okay.
There's so many colors. I don't even know if these players know where to go. But it was a shatter, a meteor strike.
That's huge. Why?
These players know where to go. But it was
We're going for this. We're going for our Rhine swing. Speedily got that done with his move. And now we're going to shatter. And we've sort of got angle threat. But Hydration is 100% paying attention to you. 100%, even before you're shattering. Oh, well. At least they're out, so you potentially have the ability to hold. Use your choke.
From 0 to 80% plus. Redbird are not going down without a fight. They've lost Sam. Maybe Hydron is still around. They're going to need him to defend it. King is starting to charge up, and the last swing ends Reiner's life. As Redbird
And that's not too surprising.
have gone away. Now they're playing on coast side where they can get booped around, and Bobby Wasabi is seconds away from closing out this round one.
Well, it's messy.
Down. I don't think anyone's going to be around to touch again. Ultraviolet might just be able to get in there and brings out the window as well. That will give a moment for potentially Rhino.
Angle out, angle out. Good.
Into the wall by Hydration.
Okay.
First damage is delivered, as is a fat dub on our first round.
That works.
Bobby Wasabi.
There was a little bit of messiness. I don't think either team had a great solution on how to get in there and how to win things once one team had control. So they had to go with fishing with low probability stuff. The problem is there isn't really. Unless you swap comps, there isn't really a better answer. So the question becomes, are you going to swap comps? Well, Koth is so short that swapping comps is really expensive. especially in a Brawl v Brawl, where after you've lost on Brawl, the other team has a lot of ult charge because you had a lot of health that was done there. So, okay, we were looking for something special in a retake from either of these. Didn't really get it. Did have the one angled retake that didn't really get punished the way we might have expected, so that's worth noting. Other than that, it was Sim TP in so that the Sim is flanking, or okay, we're going to go ahead and have the Doomfist just go fishing, and we hope that's enough. Remember, he's not getting a Doomfist bubble or anything. Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is why we said that this could be the match of the week. The greatest team in North America that we've seen in years. Split down the middle.
Double Sim Wall is part of peak sensory overload in Overwatch. Well, if you don't have double coalescences to go with it, are you even overwatching? Are you even overwatching?
63% think Redbird are coming up with the double. See if you guys are right.
That's a reasonable prediction. I mean, this is more the remnants of American Tornado than this is, for sure. This is not a joke of a team by any means, though. I mean, this is a good player. This is a good player. This player has been around for a long time. This player's been around for a long time. Like, Bobby Wasabi, these are some veterans over here. I would not sleep on this team, though, yes. I mean, this is certainly, sure. Yeah. Like, there's some good stuff. These are both some good teams from what we're seeing.
Redbird also led by Coach Wheats. He was the guy that raised the Second Wind boys who became Tier 2 Drama Alert, that became American Tornado.
She says that. My understanding is, I don't want to get too much into drama there, and I could totally be wrong. From what I've heard and what I'd heard publicly, this isn't me using private back channels. My understanding is that was very much a player-led team, American Tornado. So, like, Second Wind, the original Second Wind, was very much an org-led team. That was led by Justin. He was the GM, the owner. He did a fantastic job. He had some fantastic scouting. He would get coaches in there that would do fantastic scouting. They would find good players, and they got poached from regularly into higher tier stuff. Like, that was the team that before Phase 2 in North America, and I'd say Phase 2 didn't even get there, that team had the longest stand, I'd say, of being the unsigned team that isn't really an org, that had the best org structure in terms of how they did a good job of, hey, they find talent, they put together a good team, they don't win, but they put together a very convincing team, and then, okay, their support line gets stolen, and then they go scout and they put together another good team, and then their tank line gets stolen, and then they scout and put together another thing, and one of their DPS gets grabbed as along with one of their tanks. Like, they did a good job with that repeatedly, but that is not, I wouldn't consider that like a through line of, yes, Second Wind became American Tornado. No, there's way too much mobility between when those happened. The actual Second Wind staff, what actually made Second Wind, got promoted up to Owl, is my understanding, went and became management or part of management for one of the Owl teams, and this was players that were left with the slot, etc., went through phases, replaced most of the players, and then we got to this, and this was very much a player-led team. So, like, I don't think it's fair to be like, American Tornado is the Second Wind legacy. No, not really.
That led this legacy to where it is now, which may be now divided into two.
We'll grow it, blah. We'll grow it, blah. We've been spending more time on YouTube, and we'll probably ultimately continue to spend more time on YouTube, but we should do some cross-platform, cross-pollination. That's good for the community.
Oh, as now we are on Gardens.
Okay, so this is interesting. We had, of course, the Sim TP switch, That's not too wild, but we do see very different, maybe not very different, but different strategies coming out here. So over here, this isn't quite Talon Dive, but this was effectively the Owl comp that we saw for a while. What this is this is an evolution. Usually in this Echo spot, you would see a Tracer or a Sombra. And we'd call this Talon Dive, we'd call this Six-Man, we'd call this Monkey Rush. This was during bans in Owl this season. This comp actually got run for a stage, a thing, whatever you want to call it, and it got run like this because both of these heroes were banned. I'm not super surprised to see them still running this comp because Speedily is kind of known for his echo. That's not really a surprising thing to see. So even though I wouldn't consider that the best, even though I do see a little bit more value of a flyer on this map compared to other maps, Speedily gets no support here. He doesn't get Brig Packs, he doesn't get a Zen Orb, he doesn't get a Mercy. Speedily gets nothing here. But Speedily's got a good echo, so I get it. This is a more standard comp that we're seeing these days, where this is sort of a decision that gets made of, okay, this is the Zen Bull comp. Cool, no problem. You get some flex in this Sombra spot. It could be a Sombra, maybe it's an Ashe, maybe it's an Echo. Who knows what it's going to be? And then there's a decision. Do you run the Diva here, or do you run the Sigma here? The Diva likes having resources spent on her. She likes getting a little bit of healing. Now, I'm not saying everyone should play Diva like that Silver Diva that just feeds tons of health to the other team and gives the other team ult charges and isn't actually doing anything. They're doing a Reinhardt impression. I'm not saying Divas should play like that because they shouldn't, but standardly played Diva requires more support healing than a Sigma does. Just in when she wants to dive in, she wants to get healed up afterwards. How she goes and gets an angle, how she goes and challenges a hit scan, then drops off to get healed, then goes back up. The standard Diva play wants more healing than the standard Sigma play. Standard Sigma can rotate his resources better. So this comp sort of evolved from a comp that had Sigma, but after some of the Sigma nerfs, Diva became a choice to run. Eventually, this comp got eclipsed by Brawl and by Double Bubble, but we've seen McCree nerfs, we've seen other things that have brought this comp back, into flavor, but it's a bit of a dicey thing. You'll more often see Diva here these days, you'll sometimes see Sigma these days. It is challenging for this Diva. The Diva has to play a pretty passive Diva because, as you see, this is the line that you're running. And these characters are all very good at sustaining themselves, especially if you get a health pack hacked. But that's what we're looking at. So usually, let's ignore the echo for a second. This would be a comp that doesn't want any poke phase to happen. They just want to get as close as they can, sort of like a Brawl comp, and then just use their abilities and just run over the team. Hey, they've got a lot of mobility, so they can't get committed on if they don't want, but really they're looking to commit hard, and they have their abilities to either commit with or to chase with if the other team flees. And they are highly mobile and pretty darn good in a Brawl, but they suck in poke. Winston's bubble is not good for poke phase. Moira doesn't like the poke phase nearly as much as, say, a BAP or a Zen or an Ana does. Reaper, obviously, does not have any good range whatsoever. So this comp really needs to decisively quickly make something happen before it's taken a lot of damage. Speedily changes what they do a little bit, but that's mostly true. Whereas this comp, they're sitting here with a Zen with a Discord Orb. They have a Sombra and Tracer that can repeatedly go fishing for assassination plays, where they can just go, oh, let's go for a hack triple blink, etc. Oh, we're going to knock you around, knock you into the open with our ball, then our ball's going to go get away, get a health pack, and as you get knocked into the open, our Zen snipes you down. As you get knocked into the open, our Tracer goes in, you get discorded and eliminates you. Like, this comp has good stuff and is happier to play for a much more serious poke phase. This is a poke dive hybrid, whereas this is a Brawl dive hybrid. And if you look at those, okay, well, if we think about Brawl dive plus poke dive, well, in theory, dive, those are even. Let's think about that. So in theory, it should be poke is better than Brawl. Poke beats Brawl in the triangle, and that's what we would sort of expect to happen. Let's see if that's actually how it works out. You can't subscribe because I'm not partnered on this. I didn't spend serious amounts of time on Twitch before blah. I did a little bit here and decided YouTube made more sense as the platform. You guys can follow, but until I hit the metrics for them to go do that, affiliate or partner, I might have hit the metrics for affiliate, but I probably didn't register when I did. I'd have to hit those metrics again before I could register, and we'll see if I do. But for now, drop a follow if you're enjoying it. I do appreciate that. No, it's not a finish setting it up. I actually literally can't do it, blah.
First father of a second wind.
Like, you have to meet certain metrics on YouTube or Twitch to hit their partnered things. And we're partnered on YouTube. We haven't spent the time on Twitch yet.
Redbird, they're moving over towards a composition that was very... Oh no, that was a huge boop on Reiner. OG just... He's in his brain!
Okay, I want to see our opening here.
Gardens, And a little bit of dive
So
coming.
Bobby Wasabi wants the faster fight.
Beats
Speedly's first flight went into the air.
father of a second wind. Redbird, they're moving over towards a composition that was
Sure. Why is Reiner already eliminated? What? Wow.
of a second wind.
He tried to stage over there, and he just got mega booped. Must have been right at... That's a long boop. Did he pull away before he got booped, or did he get hit by the Diva too? He must have pulled away, because that is too long for a regular boop. So he was leaning into the boop when he got booped. Great timing on OG's part.
Towards a composition that was very... Oh no, that was a huge boop on Reiner. OG just... He's in his way.
And now it's over, because they get to take their fast fight.
And that was the advantage Bobby Wasabi had running a Lucio off break. They got bridge control before Redbird, which allowed them to focus on environmental kills, because dive teams are going to want to take that mid-area control, but the issue is crossing that darn bridge.
Right, but they're both kind of dive teams. You could say Bobby Wasabi is more brawly than dive, but they're both kind of dive teams.
And if you have a far or Lucio boop anyone, that's a first pick, a 60.
Okay, do we have a hack? I'm curious if we've established a hack on that pack over there.
Bobby Wasabi a huge...
No, we don't, because we've decided to answer with Sam on his own echo. So now there's an echo battle. Sam will get some packs, so that helps, but I don't know very many people that want to face off against that echo. Okay.
advantage. They played that really well.
Against Speedly's echo.
Hydron opts in to not interrupt the cap right here. Instead, waiting for a few more reinforcements, not giving away their recall, cooldown, hydration. How close do they want to play this, or do they once again want to return to this bridge where...
Is Blah listing the requirements at me and telling me I've met them all? I probably had to register when I'd met them is the thing, but okay.
Those environmental kills can make teams play so differently, Lemon, because they're so worried about those.
Hydron is really involved.
Okay.
Can make teams play so differently.
So here we are.
So worried about those.
We're going for this. We had that, and they're trying to rush it. So Bobby Wasabi are trying to do exactly what you'd expect. They're even with Speedily on Echo trying to make fights happen fast. And we have Redbird has gone in, and Redbird shouldn't be trying to fight this one-dimensionally. Like, Redbird should not be going, oh yes, we're all willing to come in this way. Redbird needs to come in from multiple angles. And they need to not get spammed too hard by Speedily while doing it, but they actually have the resources to heal people up as long as they don't really get spammed too hard. I know it's weird to think that this comp is better at healing than this comp, but in the poke phase, this comp kind of is better at healing than this comp. So we need to see a better surround happening from Redbird than I'm seeing right now. Like, why is Hydron in front of us? If our Echo is over here and our ball is over here, why is our Tracer not coming in this way? Why is my Tracer on the same angle as my Echo? Like, yes, there's a high ground difference. Why are they both on the same half of the map like that? Really less than half of a map. Like, that's an angle, but it's not really steep compared to what these heroes are capable of. We have multiple... We can come in from over here. We can have someone over here. We can have ball loop all the way around from other bridge. Are we afraid of the Lucio boop now? What's going on?
Can make teams play so differently, Lemon, because they're so worried about those.
Hydron is really involved in this fight. He's already used recall. They really need to back him up, but Luke Mino got pressure from the front as Redbird tried to move through White Room. There is a back cap that might be Hydron who recalls once again, but without any supports, Redbird are not going to hold this for much longer.
Sure.
All damage done, Lemon. It's permanent. There's no healing anymore. However, there will be plenty of damage coming through from Reiner, who gets rid of King. That's the main damage dealer when it comes to taking down these chunks.
Well, that's an important trade back. I mean, yeah. Like, if Redbird doesn't take angles... Like, we're looking at this. So, Redbird didn't take angles. The monkey dive, the monkey rush, whatever, the Talon dive, decided that it was going to try to force the fight early. Doesn't care about the point. It's not leaving someone behind. It's going and punishing this as it should. There's the back cap, but who cares? As soon as they have their movement back, which they do now, they go back in. It's not perfect. They're overextending a little bit to do it, but Redbird can't afford to fight them on this. Redbird can't afford to fight them on this. They either now have to push back onto the point against a Bobby Wasabi that doesn't have cooldowns, but a Bobby Wasabi that are brawlier heroes that are stronger in an enclosed space, or they need to exhaust this team further, which, really hurts to go do after you've already, you thought, flipped the point. So that's a tough one. But again, this is mostly a case of they didn't spread out enough. They didn't put themselves in a situation where they could poke down without being dived upon enough.
All damage done, Lemon. It's permanent. There's no healing anymore. However, there will be plenty of damage coming through.
What's the use of Moira in this divish comp? Low damage, and you aren't usually planning on relying on her high heals? You're absolutely relying on her high heals. Her high heals is part of what makes this not just a dive comp, but a dive brawl comp. Like, these characters are not doing your traditional, we'll take angles over here and over here and over here, and then the enemy team is right here, and now ready dive. This is what I would have liked Redbird to do. But this is not what Bobby Wasabi's comp is trying to do. They are not going, let's take our angles and then dive like this with our nice surround. They are going, and this is sometimes why it's called 6-man. We're set up here. Yep. Everyone go. Everyone dive in on the other team. And now that we've used our abilities, Moira just cleaves stupid amounts of healing over us as we try to brawl. Like, cleave stupid amounts of healing over us as we try to brawl. We don't usually think of, Monkey, and D.Va can be in Brawl, but we don't think of her as, strictly Brawl. We don't think of Monkey generally as Brawl. But what's happening is we have Speed Boost, we have these movement abilities that we're not going to use for our surround. We're going to sort of just go push forward, and then as you're there, spray stupid amounts of healing as they brawl. That's sort of what you're looking for there. But she can keep up because she has Fade. She'll fade into these fights. That's what she's doing. She can fade into these fights against comps when appropriate, and then deliver a stupid amount of healing. That is your answer. And if I don't use it, it just expires. Should I just give it to Spylo? You could. You could. Subs are worth some. Your Amazon Prime will give you a free sub, so you can do that. If you want to give it to someone else like Spylo, that's certainly fine. I'll probably host someone when this stream is over. Maybe they'll be interesting to you. It's really up to you. But I also don't think it'll take very long for me to get this one up to affiliate if we want to go that route. So if you want to wait, maybe a week, up to you. Up to you. I hope that answers the question, Elark. I'm happy to go into it more if you'd like.
Who gets rid of King? That's the main damage dealer when it comes to taking down these chunky tanks, and it gives time for Lucamino and Ultraviolet to return to the fray.
Now you're dumping bodies of your Redbird to extend what little that you have, but you also want to have your full 6, so you're not just permanently staggering yourself. And Redbird, I'm glad that they kind of backed off for a second, but as soon as they did, charging on forward is the coalescence from Servijet and the rest of Bobby Wasabi, who are just farming. They're lit up with ultimates.
I do like this comp. I don't know that I like the Echo swap into it, though it's not terrible, but I do like this comp, and I think this comp has generally been underutilized. I think this comp is good for punishing teams that don't commit hard enough to their brawl, or teams that maybe go a little meh on their poke. And I think a comp like what Redbird is running, this balls in stuff, especially with 1, sometimes 2 flankers, is a little bit meh on the poke. So yeah.
Just Moira things, some would say.
Like, it loses on the extreme ends. It loses on the extreme ends to serious brawl, to serious poke if it has the map geometry it wants for serious poke. But in the middle, it's pretty good. It's just being like, nope, you can't have fun with anything. And I think it's sort of underutilized, personally.
I bet false, and you can run the double D.Va approach and absolutely smother Bobby Wasabi and try and make sure they have no capacity.
Okay. Bobby Wasabi are somewhat trying to turtle up, trying to make Redbird come in close enough, or let them make enough of a mistake that they feel like they can pounce on someone. Reiner's pounceable. Like, Reiner is pounceable. I know his ball is not a normal dive target. Okay. Didn't do it. And they got distracted and are not pulling the trigger and diving on the Zen hard enough right now because their attention is in the wrong direction. We're committing this. And that Zen should just be gone. No, UV's going to have to pop trance. There it is. Can you get Rally out as well? You're going to try. I was a little hopeful. We're going to self-destruct to get a limbs through the Transcendence. That was a little hopeful.
can self-destruct as speedily splits the forces of Redbird in half as Sam can self-destruct as speedily splits the forces of Red.
That's just peak Overwatch right here. We have a copy of a diva DMing a copy of a Reaper's blossoming. Like, Overwatch. Quality's looking better? Good to know, blah.
Reaper, but the AoE Death Blossom gets mostly matrixed by the double divas of Bobby Wasabi. Now, speaking of which, they're starting to lose out on damage. They don't have a lot of wind in their sails left without King, as Hydration's chaos making with the Primal Rage bought them some time. But Bobby Wasabi still have control of the point at 90% its last fight.
Hydration picks up a health back to Mark.
Sure.
Discord over here. Can they try and burn through this coalescence? It's going to be public enemy number 1, but they just can't find the targets right now.
Okay, that was like a pure sustain recall.
From Ultraviolet instead, and maybe that's going to bring down the 10 public.
Okay.
So Redbird Esports can convert this into a point capture. But Bobby Wasabi, regardless of whether the point is in.
Were we that exhausted, really?
Time.
So Bobby Wasabi has control. They're out of ults, but Coalescence will come up soon. Immediately used. They want to finish it here. And it's reasonable.
Hydration picks up a health back to Mark.
Not able to take down the discorded Moira.
Try and burn through this coalescence.
Trying very hard.
It's going to be public.
Hydron does have a good angle here to be doing work, but we're not quite getting it done.
Find the targets right now. OG falls down to a headshot from Ultraviolet in.
Don't get anything out of that. But ultimately, again, Bobby Wasabi went forward, pushed forward for their dive, didn't quite get enough out of it, and Hydron did sort of flip it behind them.
So Redbird Esports can convert this into a point capture. But Bobby Wasabi, regardless of whether the point is
They're huddled.
control or not, Lemon, will
They're huddled, but after this monkey bubble is gone, they don't really have any sustain. They wear out. This is one of the comps where this comp, if it doesn't have a closed space that enemies don't want to push into it, if it doesn't have cover like we talked about, and this bubble is very temporary cover, that the other team doesn't want to push in and fight them in, it does run out. Like, as these comps disassemble, as these comps run out of pieces, I do find these to be stronger pieces if you start losing your synergy.
not give this fight up.
Bobby Wasabi still want to fight this, and Ultraviolet has been so patient. Luke Mino has been missing and thought that maybe Redbird were going to lose someone else. So it was a Transcendence to ensure that they had their full 6 in case Bobby Wasabi re-engaged. So it was a decision that Ultraviolet has to live with now.
Okay.
They come back to bite them. Maybe they...
So we look at this. We're going into our next fight. Obviously, Sam's trying to get his poke off.
When you're down enough.
We're going to need... Okay, we've got a little more spread than we had before. At least Hydron's on a different side, but Hydron needs to move in as this team moves in while maintaining the angles. Sure. That Zen is just too vulnerable. We don't have a support ult to protect that Zen. You just lose Zen here. Like, you just lose Zen here, and I don't think you can trade anything back fast enough. What am I missing? Why did you guys set up like this?
You lose the map when you're down in our first.
Hydron's adjusting reasonably. We need to pull our Zen back faster. Where was our ball to start? Do we know?
You lose that
Up there.
You lose the map when you're down in our
That's a really passive ball spot.
3.
You're going to roll through, so you're thinking that you're going to save your Zen with a roll through here. I don't think so. Yeah, like, that was wrong. You just can't let your Zen be that accessible. And the defense plan of our ball's going to roll through as soon as the dive lands. Like, no, you needed to mess up the staging of their dive. You're a poke team. You don't want them to get into Brawl and then knock them out of Brawl. They're just going to delete you too fast. You want to disrupt their staging, which they don't really do, but not let them get close enough to dive. Keep them from being able to rotate into cover. Hit them as they try to come across the bridge. I know, it's scary. They have a Lucio. He's got a better boop than you. Still. That said, they got the Moira back. That's big. Moira probably shouldn't be eliminated yet. Yes, she uses her Fade offensively a lot in this comp. Still probably shouldn't be eliminated quite yet.
Ultraviolet and Surmajet is missing. You only have Brigida heals for Redbird, and not at all as Bobby Wasabi just depending on OG.
Okay.
Reiner get boots too, and Hydra and
Am I underselling it? I mean, the advantage
When you're down in
of the ball roll through like this is you do hit your roll through, you do end up back here, and Hydron is right here back with you to take down the target of your selection. You don't really have your Discord Orb though, and you can't get the Discord Orb applied to the target of your choice because the Winston bubble is in play. No, I don't think I'm underselling. I don't think I was treating the ball roll through there as worse than it was. Like, yes, you do end up with your flankers in their backline here, but no, it's not enough. Mm-hmm. We did have UV with the pre-Discord after the fade on Sir Majid there, though. Okay.
is missing. You only have Brigida heals for Redbird, and not at all.
And then that's just a double knockoff. That, I guess, unless it was fireball damage. So he comes back on the second roll through and knocks both tanks off. I mean, that just can't happen. Okay. So they were trying to bait them to there.
Depending on OG, who gets Reiner get boots too, and Hydra finishes off the third. So Redbird live another fight.
Imagine killing an entire dive tank line with one grapple from a wrecking ball. That's pretty alpha.
It's fun.
Killing an entire dive tank line with one.
So we see this. He's doing this. He's just proven that he can.
That's pretty alpha. And our Ryan is just showing off those nice little mechanics, little tech jump to make sure he can get up into a window.
Some of those are a little challenging. Not like wildly challenging, but cool.
Because of course that would feed support ults. Win already.
Why?
Also a tiny little bit.
Do we have an orb difference? I don't see a Harmony Orb. Oh, but you're missing health as you come in here. You got poked on the way in. Okay. Yeah. This Tracer duel had probably been going on for a while before we got there.
Oh my god, they're getting beamed down by this coalescence, and then King places a pulse bomb behind you. Self-destruct from Iron got sent towards
Sure. Speedily, I'm not comfortable with you staying on point here. Okay, fine. No heals available, so you have to sustain with that.
Trying to cross the bridge side, but Sam doesn't have a mercy pocket, and he's getting harassed. He has to play slow.
I mean, shutting down the rally is huge.
Gets traded out by Hydron, who have very limited heals, but OG, he has the sound there, the support ultimate that Bobby Wasabi needed. But can they hold on? They got a lot of health thanks to the primal rage of hydration. False as a leftover self-destruct. They want to try and stagger these and layer these ultimates until.
Well, those are different things, staggering and layering.
And so they do.
We would like to stagger the ults, not layer them.
Will someone touch? It's the Lucio of Lucamino left, but Redbird, they don't have a lot going for them.
No, they don't. But these have been flipped before. Okay. Speedily has come back on the Doomfist instead. That's fine. Not like he is worried about that one. Okay.
But the conclusion is the same. Bobby Wasabi will take our leadership.
That's reasonable. That's reasonable. I mean, I look at that, and in terms of our big takeaways there, I know that we want to get into big takeaways. We saw Night Market. We saw that neither team had anything super interesting for their attack. Bobby Wasabi established first control, which can be a bit of a coin flip, and then we're mostly able to win it from there. They didn't go full 99-0 before it flipped, but it sort of became a fishing game back and forth. They came out ahead, but it's fine. Then we had on the second map, I did think that they came out with the slightly better comp for the matchup, and they understood their condition, and Redbird did not do a good enough job of not just taking angles, but taking angles in a way where they can take them and not get pounced on. Like, that's the key. You have to take angles in a way that none of you are open enough to be pounced on. And that's tough. That is definitely tough on that map, but more doable than was done. Like, yes, you're going to position your Zen down through White Room with your core, but you can spread your Tracer, your Ball, your Echo through different paths where they're not really pounceable. They can't get overextended, get chased on. Talon Dive Comp really can't afford to split to go get them, and you can get a pack on them, a Harmony Orb on them, whereas they're not going to be able to sustain their Echo if their Echo comes out to go hunting, or if their Tracer goes out to go hunting. So definitely could have seen a little better driving of the ball comp from a macro standpoint from Redbird Esports here. But, can't really complain about the ball double knocking off the tanks. Was that a set play? Was that a trap? Was that why they let their Zen be vulnerable there? I don't know.
Like this, it got speedily
The recall that sets him right beside the Ilting Brig with Pulse? Yeah, that was nice.
picked up, right, Lemon?
Yeah.
Casually sticking our to a bidding war.
Okay, so
And I would like to
we're heading into second map here.
To see exactly what Bobby Wasabi.
And Numbani. Okay. Does that mean we're actually going into Numbani?
It's got a pretty good tracer
Cool.
as well. And you know what? Redbird Esports have got a really good chance of farming some cash prizes.
Yeah. Unless Maryville or Northwood.
Okay, so they're talking about collegiate here, and I'll talk about collegiate as well. This is a big deal. This is collegiate. This is probably the future of, I don't want to say tier 2 Overwatch, but yeah, tier 2 Overwatch. This is probably the future of, I'd say collegiate Overwatch in some ways has a brighter future than the other leagues. Collegiate Overwatch is a place, they have the infrastructure there. There's schools. They can actually do the local fan base thing that Al wanted to do. There's actually, you don't need the money available in collegiate that Contenders has to have available and didn't have available to sustain a tier 2 scene, because collegiate has synergies with other existing infrastructures. Hey, these kids are going to schools. Hey, you can send some scholarship money their way because they're getting something else at the same time. You don't have to necessarily compensate at the rate that Contenders would have to if it's supposed to be not even full-time work, but like seasonal work that actually pays the bills. So there's a little bit of a future, and if Contenders doesn't work out, someone just kind of wasted their time. Whereas if collegiate doesn't work out, hopefully someone has a degree, hopefully in a useful field. You guys know I have views on fields that are more useful than others. But this is, this is a thing. This is, hey, the big thing, the what Overwatch will be dealing with, etc. We'll probably get hundreds of teams signed up for this again, and it'll be interesting. And they are right. There are some big schools that are expected to be good. These guys are new out of nowhere. They basically weren't a meaningful program last year. They just went ahead and basically grabbed what they could of American Tornado there. But there are the big three before these guys showed up on the scene would have been Maryville and, Maryville, Harrisburg, and Northwood. And these were the ones. Northwood didn't exist the year before that, but was the sort of leader throughout most of the year. Then we moved into, right at the end of the year, they swiped in and they got upset. So this would have sort of been the tier 1 of collegiate, which sometimes calls itself tier 1.5, but don't worry about the actual numbers of it. But these would have been the lead schools. This is likely the new lead school, but there's other schools that could have moved up to join these as well that have had good ads. Like False went to join a collegiate school, for example, etc. So like there's some stuff out there to pay attention to that may have joined these. And then there's the ones that are only like a step maybe back from these schools, the Utahs, the UC Irvines, etc. So we'll see.
Or any of these big teams.
Emoji chat. Could it be you who defeats Redbird Esports?
And yes, that's me plugging Collegiate Overwatch because, I coach Collegiate Overwatch sub, and it would be, hey, go do Collegiate Overwatch. It's the future. If you would like to do Collegiate Overwatch for a very good school, for a playoff caliber team every season, you should reach out to me. Because obviously I do work for Northeastern. I also do coaching for some other teams on not even a one-off basis, but on a consulting basis. But hey,
Well, speaking of,
if you're looking to get coaching for your collegiate team, you should reach out to me. You can join my Discord, reach out to me, and I can tell you what my rates are to do some coaching for your teams.
Redbird, I thought the Hydron versus King Tracer matchup was going to be a lot more one-sided towards Hydron. By the way, there's already a dive from Bobby with.
Okay, so we see our two comps coming out here, and we see we are defending for Redbird we're defending with this, which is a dive comp. Like, this is a dive comp. There's no question of that. It is a Tracer Tracer plus Echo dive comp. We're using Monkey plus Anna, so these two generally go together these days. That's not too wild. And we've brought the Briggs to protect the Anna. So basically for this era, this is a pretty standard dive comp that we're seeing. It has a poke element in Echo, but Echo is a very divey poker, so no real question there. Versus we have from Bobby Wasabi, again, they're going with the 6-man. They're going with the Talon Dive, whatever you want to call it, with their one speedily swap onto Echo so that they do actually have a little bit of poke. They're not completely helpless in that poke phase. Again, can't really sustain speedily, though, so you're still not great in the poke phase. And they are attacking with this. So they have to be able to get access to the spots that they want, but they should be able to do that. Moira can't go vertical. That's a little bit of an issue for her. She's not going to be able to follow. If this team dives across, she's not going to be able to follow the rest of this team in. But if they can do a good job of shuffling people onto the low ground, using their abilities to get people to low ground, she'll be able to help clean them up, and they'll be able to brawl in their preferred kill box of this low ground anyways. So let's see if they can make that happen, or if Redbird is able to go, hey, we're a dive comp with a little bit of a poke aspect, and we just want to play into that poke aspect as best we can, even though it's not much, not let you guys do work, just stay away from you with our mobility, with our poke aspects, with our high ground control, with our defensive advantage, until we can either, maybe go, hey, we have a Nano Monkey that we can win with, or hey, we've built up enough of a lead, or hey, we've worn down speedily enough that you can't heal them, that now these two are willing to, or these 4 even are willing to combine to take speedily down because isn't getting support, etc. That's what we'd expect to see.
Wasabi from that right side. Okay, just a little bit of poke from Sam. Either way, Reiner is waiting at that front door.
Okay, so we see a jump in from the tanks.
Look who comes barging in.
We're going to peel that as hard as we can.
Bobby Wasabi with that.
And we do peel that as hard as we can as Redbird, but it's not going to matter. The DPS go down.
Well, good trades from both Echoes, but it's a number advantage for Bobby Wasabi, but they don't have Surmish yet. Ultraviolet.
Didn't clean that up quite as cleanly as they should have based on their start.
By false as the dust clears, we have Bobby Wasabi yoinking away one tick.
This is one hell of a brawl here, Lemon, but one of the interesting things about Numbani is that it's basically equal in terms of distance for the attackers and the defenders to get back to the point. So attrition is not necessarily in anybody's favor. King's going to try and escape, but guess who's right on top of that, if not Reiner? And you can...
Okay, now we should see a little bit of a reset from Bobby Wasabi before a full-on commit. We don't want a poke phase from those guys.
This is more of a Dallas Fuel style dive where they're just doing no holds barred, run forward.
I mean, it has to. The comp requires it.
Just double you.
Now you have Bobby Wasabi brought the Reaper to the party. And he's getting the last slice of pizza. Bobby Wasabi just choke stuffing this main route, stealing away a second tick and maybe even a third as Redbird now have Nano. That's what they were playing for. They give it to
Redbird were playing for Nano. Yeah, we talked about that as one of their alternate win conditions. Were they actually playing for Nano? Let's see if we can see. Were they just trying to not commit?
He's getting the last slice of pizza. Bobby Wasabi just choke stuffing this main route, stealing away a second tick and maybe even a
Nano immediately under Reiner, but does Reiner have good targets?
That's what they were playing for.
Does Reiner have good targets? No. Something should be eliminated by now. Yeah.
And King is having that same impact in the backline of Redbird Esports, but Lucamino and Ultraviolet are still living, if not
Nano into Primal, did ultimately take down the Diva and then take down the Monkey with your Primal.
From Bobby Wasabi. Wait.
He's just showing off.
That was, the cojones on this. The cojones on this Winston. Oh my goodness. This is now a ultraviolet appreciation.
So that was what we expected. Not what we expected necessarily, but that was one of the things we expected Redbird to play for. Either they get enough of a poke lead, or they go, yep, there's this small window where we'll have Nano available before you guys will have good ults available, and we'll take advantage of it. Which is what they did.
They managed to outpace Samajed on the generation.
There's no official EU Tier 2, T3 scene. Yeah, there is. So Tier 1, generally, is going to be considered Owl. Tier 2 is going to be considered Contenders. Tier 3 gets messy. Some people would tell you it's the top 32 open division teams or the top 16 open division teams. Some people would tell you it's all of open division. Some people would tell you it's open division down to a certain threshold. Maybe that's like 4.2, maybe that's 4.3, maybe that's 4.4. But tier 3 is the teams that actually have real shots of getting into the actual, not the Swiss bracket of open division, but like the real bracket of open division. Like you did your Swiss bracket and now you're in the top 16. Now you're in the top 32. Now you have a chance of actually going through the bracket and qualifying for trials during this weekend or whatever. They may have changed the format, so that's not exactly how it works anymore. But Tier 3 would be sort of the teams that have shots at making it into trials. And Tier 2.5 would be trials. And trials is the relegation between contenders. If you're bottom 4 in contenders, it's varied. Sometimes it's bottom 4, sometimes it's bottom 2, sometimes it's bottom 8. You go down to trials. It's been different things at different times. And if you're top X, depending on how many slots are left in trials, you get pushed up, and then the teams battle, and the people that lose go down here and back to open effectively, and the people who win go up to contenders, at least for 2 months. It seems to be what the model is now. It's been different at different times. For other times it was for a season, and a season was about 4 months or half a year, that sort of thing. And then tier 4 would be, if you consider tier 4 to exist, everything else. But collegiate exists, and these contenders existed for multiple regions. EU does have contenders. We used to have 6, 7 different contenders regions. Now we keep losing a contenders region every year or so we have less. But EU still has a contenders region, absolutely. Your question becomes, where does collegiate go? And collegiate calls itself tier 1.5, which doesn't really make sense because OWL is better than collegiate and contenders is better than most of collegiate as well, at least for now. They couldn't really call themselves tier 2.5 though, because trials was taken. They'd like to be an alternate to tier 2, and they're trending in that direction, but no one serious thinks they're that yet. Like, the people who are getting promoted from collegiate to OWL are doing so based on their time in contenders, not based on their time in collegiate at this point in time. But they would be like equivalent to, some of them would be tier 3 equivalent, some of them would be tier 4 equivalent, some of them would be tier 2.5 equivalent. They're not really tier 2 equivalent unless they're also in tier 2. Like, or, they're basically contenders rosters at this point in time.
Of the Coalescence with the Nano Boost. That was so important for winning out that fight lemon, and now they can meet the Coalescence with the Rally, and that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to be burned through.
See Bobby Wasabi, they all jump out together. The Coalescence from Sir Majed allows him to heal at a distance, especially giving that...
Oh, I got distracted here.
Majed on the generation of the Coalescence with the Nano Boost. That was so important for winning out that fight lemon, and now they can meet the Coalescence with the Rally, and that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to be burned through.
See Bobby Wasabi, they all...
Sure. So we're trying to rush this from Bobby Wasabi. They have the ults. I expect them to take it here. But Redbird does have plays. We're not early rallying. We're not early rallying. There's our rally. Kind of late. Yeah. Like, that was a super late, considering that they had rally. I don't know why they thought they could kite that hard. They just needed to rally.
He's just in time to dodge the self-destruct from Iron that was placed right on the point. And Luke Nino's rally is
there's the beat, sure.
Trying to stabilize on this point, but Sam, up in the sky, you cannot ignore him. Iron's been providing a matrix that is helping him live longer than he should. As Red...
It's fine. You're answering duplicate with that. Your positioning is kind of aggressive, though. Well, you're not a support player, that's why. Yeah, okay.
Investing the duplicate and the nano boost to defend this point.
The difference in duplicates right there, but look at this double diva just absolutely shredding through the tank line that stands before them. Reiner joins as a third wheel to the tank party, but nonetheless is going to be getting plenty done. Sam, the absolute hero here for Redbirds, when faced with Speedily picking up the weird copy on the Ana, but it might have just been that they demanded the iframes.
60 seconds remaining. Can't believe that Redbird 97.4%, and they denied it at the last second. And that costed a lot of ultimates. So
Bobby Wasabi needed to finish that. They should have finished that.
feeling good about not being disrupted by any ults, but they don't really have much of their own. They're just going right towards that point.
Okay.
Has used Fade and Hydra.
No, we're gonna have to look at that last fight because that was the fight that Bobby Wasabi needed to win, and it's unfortunately hard to tell with the spectating exactly what went wrong here, but we're gonna look at this. So we go here. Redbird was late on their rally. They were trying to kite. That's why they were trying to greed their rally. We do get King getting eliminations here. And obviously the self-destruct coming in from Iron is going to force cooldowns, but it's not forcing eliminations. And that should be it. Like, there shouldn't really be a way back in here. Even if you lose King, who doesn't have cooldowns anymore, there shouldn't really be a way in. Like, Sam should get dealt with at this point. Yes, he's hard to deal with. Yes, you don't have great aerial stuff. That's a function of the comp, but should not be able to be this free to do work. And the beat is coming in, and this beat should be all the power you need, except the beat wasn't in time to save Sir Majid. That's the problem. The beat wasn't in time to save Sir Majid. Got it. And OG was just still missing it, right? Okay. OG's right there. Sir Majid's right there. This is totally doable. Yeah.
Is assisting them to try and stabilize on this point, but Sam, up in the sky, you cannot ignore him. Iron's been providing a matrix that is helping him live longer than he should, as Redbird are investing the duplicate in,
and they don't get enough done with their beat at that point. Like, the beat is going... It's a 4-person beat, but this is a 4v4. You can use a 4-person beat. You have a beat and a primal, which is stacked. That's unfortunate. And a duplicate going, whereas the Redbird Esports have nothing going right now. Literally nothing going right now. None of their ults are existing on the board. And nothing's happening. Like, we're not forcing eliminations on Redbird while we have all this ult power going.
Providing a matrix that is helping him live.
Self-destruct just getting nothing. Like, yay, they stepped off point, but no, we need actual eliminations. And then the nano, and again, nothing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, the nano boost goes away when the duplicate wears off, so it doesn't matter. Okay.
But nonetheless is going to be getting plenty done. Sam, the absolute hero here for Redbirds, when faced with Speedily picking up the weird copy on the Ana, but it might have just been that they demanded the iframes.
60 seconds. Can't believe that Redbird 97.4%, and they denied it at the last second. And that costed a lot of ultimates, so Bobby Wasabi should be feeling good about not being disrupted by any ults, but they don't really have much of their own. They're just...
So, Redbird is deciding to kite down here, which they've done repeatedly, which is good in the sense that it gives them more time to do poke work, but on the flip side, it lets Bobby Wasabi stage quite close to them, stage on point, and then be able to fight from short sightline. So... Do you have a choice? Do you have a choice? Again, if you put like your Echo over here or something, Sam over here, you just can't support him. No, you can support him. You're running this line. Your ball's over here. Where's your Tracer? Is your Tracer like over here? I don't see them over here. I don't see them over here. I don't see them up here. I'd like to be able to pull this team apart from directions more than I'm seeing, if I'm Redbird. Again, with heroes that can't be committed on.
Going right towards that point.
Yeah, so our Tracer was over here, where they should be. Okay, this makes sense then. That's why you're letting them in, so that you get a good surround.
And without OG, you have no resources if you're the attack of Bobby Wasabi, and not enough quick damage is coming out to really make up for that. So Bobby Wasabi are left for 25 seconds and one last fight.
Ultraviolet has made a swap now. Over onto the Zenyatta. The question is, will this be accounted for? King manages to get the D-Mech off the back of that pulse bomb. And that's going to mean that maybe Redbird esports are a little bit more fragile as everyone moves over onto the point. Speedly needs to come up big here. What are the resources that can be used by Redbird? They want to get this minefield because it'll be so difficult to dislodge if it is spread over the point by Reiner.
If Bobby Wasabi don't win this fight, they'll be full held on the point after starting off our series 1-0. But it's a good start when King takes out Iron. But Luke Mino leads the.
I mean, this was sort of a junk engage from them based on the clock.
You gotta kill Sam. He's close to
they need to make it happen, but
quite literally, if he gets a copy onto false. But Redbird, they unleash a pulse bomb and Hydra with the double kill. Hunts down Surmajet for the millionth time, and Bobby Wasabi are left.
So we look at this, and I do consider this to be an upgrade. Redbird has swapped their comp over time. We saw Raynor on his last time he traveled to spawn, moved over to Ball. We obviously saw that Ultraviolet worked his way from Ana over to Zen quite a while ago. Like, these guys did go into a slightly poke-heavier comp that is better against this comp than what they started on. So I still don't necessarily know that I love the comp that Redbird is on into this comp, but they were upgrading over time as this match was going on, and that's been part of it.
In the dust and will not be able to complete the point.
Paraphrase OG.
Okay, but that's fine. I mean, Bobby Wasabi went, what, 2-0 on Lijiang Tower there? We didn't see Control Center, so they had a somewhat decisive. It wasn't like 100 zeros, but they went 2-0 on Lijiang, and now we're seeing Bobby Wasabi not quite able to cap first on Numbani. So what can Redbird do?
Maybe it's a little bit more difficult to keep Sir Majed alive when they're playing Ana on ping.
Like, don't look, guys. This is not PG-13 action. After that shatter we just saw.
They allow this on YouTube Gaming?
So I really like playing Moira, especially when I'm dealing with Doomfist.
So we're gonna continue through here.
I'm an Ana player. I'm going Moira. A lot of escapability, but what I'm seeing is that Sir Majed.
We're going to jump because we don't really care what the casters have to say. They're doing a fine job. We just don't care.
Leveled up in this second map right here. Maybe Wheats took him aside between the match like, yo.
Okay, so we'll talk about their comps as soon as they actually walk out on them.
I didn't pay my rent on the Hydron this month. Let me get that sorted for you, King.
On the Hydron.
Okay, so we're looking at this. Bobby Wasabi have adjusted slightly. They're not really doing what you would consider the 6-man, the talent dive anymore. They've now put in the Ana, and that actually makes sense, right? Like, they're having to play defense on this particular map, playing this particular point. They're going to have to abuse the high ground. They're going to have to abuse that the high ground is split, and they're starting in different places. And Sir Majed would not be able to heal people, would not be able to heal dive tanks that are jumping back and forth between high grounds, as Sir Majed simply can't transition well. So that doesn't work. When you were offense, you were trying to shoo the defense off their high ground and then take them down in the box. That is the point. When you defense, you're trying to you want to maintain that. You want to go, hey, we're high ground, we drop down to touch, we go back up, we drop down to touch, we go back up. You want that option when you're defense. So this swap makes sense, but it does put them on a more traditional dive comp. Redbird are on, we're looking at this, and hey, we have ourselves a mirror. Nothing too wild.
So dead.
That said, Redbird looked like this was something that they were perhaps a little more interested in playing, or at least it's close to something they're interested in playing, whereas it's only one swap away from what Bobby Wasabi was trying to play earlier. That's probably not a good sign
but now they have to pull off the attack
for Bobby Wasabi.
For slower paced Ana composition, and the same is going to be met with them on the defense. So
and obviously, when you have the Ana, the poke difference isn't so bad anymore. It's not that Ana's poke itself is amazing. It's that unlike Moira, she can do a better job of sustaining people during the poke. And yes, she can heal your Echo when your Echo takes damage. And yes, she does actually have some poke ability herself at range, unlike Moira.
Try and keep on this high ground together, but they'll be rather easy to force off.
I'm going to hear about Moira orbs and how those are poke. I know it, and they are, but...
There's the initial dive from Redbird. Reiner's trying to drop and did so just a second too late. King from Red
by force, they're going to try and keep on this high ground together, but they'll be rather easy to force off.
So Reiner's going in. Iron tries to support. Sure.
There's the initial dive.
You have what's effectively a counter dive from Bobby Wasabi. And counter dive is generally what we call it when you dive the divers that came in, as opposed to diving the backline, which is just diving second. If they dive you and you dive their backline, you generally just call that diving second. I don't love the terminology, but it's what the community settled on.
From Redbird, Reiner's trying to drop and did so just a second too late. King shifted his focus from the Hydron 1v1 towards finishing off Reiner, and this
So yeah, Reiner just committed a little too hard there, didn't get quite enough help.
forces a 5v6 for the attack, as Redbird might have lost Reiner, but they clearly didn't lose hope. They're able to trade down onto a pick onto hydration.
Force
Reiner
recall.
back to the party as Redbird want to take this right to the point. They only
No,
need
looks like they're leaving.
97.4% in order to tie the series, and with Sam
Yikes.
Reiner is surely
So
back
you're here. Iron is over here for some reason, helping with the Tracer. Backs out over to here.
They only need 97.4% in order.
We're chasing False away, and now it's, oh, hey, we should go help our Winston. Your Winston's just going to get crushed again. Like, that's not enough support for your Winston.
The series,
Iron's late.
and with Sam missing, with Reiner
I'm not really convinced that Reiner needs to be going that aggressive, but Iron is late to help.
dead, this has to be a reset for Redbird, right?
Iron doesn't feel that's going to be the case for now. Is going to try and dip away, and they will get it done with plenty of health. Question is, Bobby Wasabi, did you expect much to make this happen? The answer is no. Hydration died a little bit too early in that fight to really build up towards
Twice.
the primal rage.
Hydration went down a little too early twice in that fight. Or no, Reiner did, excuse me.
With this duplicate.
Okay, now we have Redbird committing. Let's take a look at how this goes. So they're just going to walk it up main again. That happens. You haven't used leap yet, so you still have it. There's your leap. Is Iron going to follow? Yeah, okay.
After these supports, it's an easy kill onto Surmajet, assisted by Hydron, but kind of Spider-Man emoji.
Why? Why was this so easy?
But speedily.
Where did Bobby Wasabi spend the resources? Did they choose to just dive your backline? Yeah, so Bobby Wasabi goes into the dot backline with their own nano. And we don't see what hydration and false are getting done. But the answer is less. The answer is that the nano monkey dive from hydration and false gets less done than the nano monkey dive from Reiner, Iron, and Hydron. Okay. Well. Yeah. Okay. I'm mixing up my people a little bit, but that's okay.
Pointing at the exact same counter dive happening towards the supports of the other team. We're looking at Redbird without any.
Again, you can't use that terminology. I hate it. I would have liked to call it counter dive, but that's just not the terminology that evolved. It's not a counter dive when they dive your backline and you also dive their backline.
Seeing if they can take this first tick, and they're so close to it, but it's not captured. Iron physically trying to displace everyone so that they can capture this take, and now has to just leave 2 self-destructs.
Hey, why not?
Reiner's now investing the primal rage. Redbird think this is winnable. They've gotten their supports back. Luke Mino's job is only to protect Ultraviolet while he heals at a distance. Make sure that Bobby Wasabi cannot dive them as Redbird continue to fight for this first tick.
They're still denied that first tick.
Sure.
It was a great little do-si-do of contest.
That's not going to work very well. Well, King does have the rally armor.
From False and Speedily to make it happen. They've managed to isolate Sam. Hydron will be able to parkour their way back onto that point, but Reiner is going to go even deeper now. Hit with the whip shot.
Okay.
That shield comes down, and now they've lost a huge amount of progress on the point, but they're going to build it back up again. Sam identified by King. Can they get the finish on this?
There's nothing too interesting going on here. This is just messy trades.
Going to lose the first tick.
How did Sam live that? King.
Okay, so obviously this is a situation of Bobby Wasabi was perfectly happy to surrender point presence rather than having to dive into the rally that was going on there. No big surprise. And now they have to deal with the fact that now that the rally's over, there's a nano monkey coming in. So they don't like this, but they don't have the tools to come in.
Just shifted his focus and then.
King is trying out here, but King is going to be a little outmatched, to be perfectly honest, over here against some of this stuff on the Tracer matchup versus Hydran and such over here.
Sam got the rally of Lucamino. Ultraviolet has built yet another nano boost given.
Speedily was with Core. Little questionable for Speedily to be with Core there, as opposed to above up on the railway where Reiner has to pick between going up or going Core.
To Reiner, who continues to live in the backline of Bobby Wasabi, paying rent on the first every month. And Redbird, just 10% away from capping this, from tying the series.
They have it.
And it's a fight that never ends, and Bobby Wasabi will
They still had the primal going on. They were fine. Okay, so that's fine. We saw what we wanted to there. Bobby Wasabi looked a little less comfortable when Bobby Wasabi have so far shown themselves potentially to be a more brawly team. Again, they did fine when they got to play true brawl or sim. I suppose not true brawl, but when they got to play sim Doomfist brawl, they were happy, and then they were also pretty happy when they got to play their Talon Dive 6-man whatever. Redbird is trying to elect for a more dive, a more ball style. Totally fine.
To contest for point for just a second.
It's a lot more narrow. Sombra, you see the X-ray.
Poor Winston. Yep.
Sam going towards the market side.
Okay, so let's get back here a little bit further. Okay.
Esports over here have decided that they're going to make life hell for
Let's see what our
Hydration.
comps are going to
They
look
may well
like.
decide to roll out here.
Okay, so we take a look here, and we see, once they're actually out of spawn, that again, we've seen a slight adjustment. This is basically what Redbird have wanted to run the whole time, except Sam is now going to be on the Sombra. Totally a legit way to play this composition. And this is a type of composition that Redbird looks to have wanted to play the whole time. I do like this type of composition. And then Bobby Wasabi, that can't be real. Yuck. Please tell me that's not your real comp.
Student.
You guys are defending. That's your real comp.
Decide to roll out.
Really? Really, guys? Okay, so I don't like it. We've got the Anna and the Mercy. This is an okay, not amazing support line. Well, why do we have the Anna plus the Mercy? Well, we have the Mercy because we have an Echo, and we would like to be able to hard pocket our Echo. Okay, I can live with that. You want to run a Mercy to hard pocket your Echo. Cool. So this is a Zen, right? Right? That would make sense, and Zen would go well with your ball. I'm good with this. We're going to run Mercy Zen. Our backline is going to be vulnerable, but we do have a Diva. So, cool. I'm going to run this. I'm okay with this. But that's not what we're doing. We're running an Anna. Well, why are we running an Anna? We have a ball. If this was Winston, again, this comp could make sense. I don't love it, but this comp could make sense. Where it's like, hey, we have an Anna to power up our Winston, to heal our Winston. Our Winston is less health pack dependent, can't use health packs as easily as the Hammond can. Now, maybe you're worried about them picking a Sombra, and that's why you're running the Anna, but Ball just doesn't use Anna the same way Winston does. Ball doesn't get as much value from a Nano as Winston does. So the thought here instead has to be we're running Anna to Nano our Echo. But this is so much pressure and resource to put into your Echo. You're bringing a Mercy for your Echo and you're going to Nano your Echo? Don't get me wrong. We've seen Nano Echoes do some scary things in Owl. So, I understand why you feel like, oh, that's really good, and it's not like this is unheard of to pour all your resources into it, but, no. This is not an amazing support line. This is like a B-tier support line with not having support plus tank synergy either. What is your Anna supposed to do? Heal your ball a lot? Heal your Diva a lot? Yes, this fixes the issue of your Diva feels like she doesn't have as much healing as she's and has to play a very low resource Diva when she's playing the Zen plus Briggs comp with a ball. I get that. I really do get that. And this fixes that in some ways, but this is such overkill to fix it. Like Mercy Zen is plenty of support to fix that. It becomes less because your Mercy doesn't do a ton of healing on your diva. She boosts the echo, but even so, it's enough. Like I do not think that this is worth it. The synergistic values here aren't strong enough. It's not unheard of. I see this comp get run, but as you can see, I have opinions on this, and the value simply isn't strong enough. Like, your Anna isn't super well defended. Yeah, Mercy can come back and help her. Yeah, Diva can help her. Your Anna doesn't provide enough value. Nano Echo is good, but it's not like, oh my god, best thing ever. She's not going to have something to do a ton of healing during, and you can be like, well, she can fill with offensive shots and offensive ability usage. You know who does that better? Zen. Yeah. Okay. You know who pairs better with both Tracer and Ball? Zen. And Anna? Or excuse me, and Mercy? Zen. Blah says Anna's favorite target is Ball to heal. Bap uses Shift to heal Ball. It tops him up enough for him to roll off for a health pack respawn. Lucio appears better with the Ball. No. Bap has nightmares about having to heal Ball. Sure, but like I'm not suggesting running Ball. I'm suggesting running Zen or Brig or Winston instead of Ball. Like, ugh.
Out here on the Sombra.
I am not a fan of
Somebody
this.
has to pay those students.
I am just not a fan of this, and I hope Redbird rips them apart.
Loans. Thanks, Blizzard. But Redbird already taking these flank routes with the Tracer and the
Okay, so Bobby Wasabi are set up.
See the X-ray of Sam going towards the market side. Hydron sort of going up the staircase, but doesn't want to reveal himself too quickly, and it's starting to give attention
Escape
to
slam?
King, while the rest of Redbird are getting free push on the cart.
Reiner looking at
Won't find anything interesting. What did you adaptive shield for?
Well, the
Garbage?
staircase, but doesn't want to.
You rolled in there. What exactly did you adaptive shield
going
for?
towards the market side. Hydron sort of going up the staircase, but doesn't
That was your adaptive shield. It was worthless.
want to reveal himself too
Yeah, that was a worthless adaptive shield.
quickly, and it's starting
That was not a very good roll through, Reiner.
to give attention to King, while the rest of Redbird are getting.
I don't mind the
free push on
attempt. I
cart.
just mind it wasn't very good. That one wasn't really much better.
some margin here, but very good to
Ah, but you were doing it to get to here. Okay, I'll take it.
themselves in the corner, making sure they could not be sent into that
Sure.
zone.
That's
Maybe
better.
a second
I undersold you there, Reiner.
That means hydration's a little bit later on the escape, but the dust will settle now, and everyone's gonna move back over to their respective teams. Hydron escaping.
Hydron's handling cart, fine.
And this is where
Okay, so we've already pushed Bobby Wasabi back into courtyard here.
Redbird, when they push in, they go quickly and they go as a team. That's what I so appreciate about it. I'm wondering who the targets of these hacks are going to be for Sam and.
We're not getting to see enough of what's going on. So we had this happen.
Hydron escaping with just a head.
Why have they been pinned in so much? Like, it looks like we've already got Bobby Wasabi just totally pinned in this portion of the map, and that's not okay. Like, that is just not okay. If we're going to play for courtyard, we need to have already backed. We need to have our Anna back here or in window, like, where she's hard to get at. We need to have our Echo playing up over there or up over this or forward sort of over the thing that she can spin around with her Mercy. This is, like, it looks like they've already been clustered, like they're still playing a brawl comp, and they're not. Bobby Wasabi, that is. Yeah. Everyone on Bobby Wasabi is right here. No. If you're rotating back, you needed to do it faster than this, because you're letting Redbird get this around.
They go as a team. That's what I so appreciate.
This is already over.
About it. I'm wondering
This
who
fight,
the
not
targets
the
of
match.
these hacks are going to be for Sam and how quickly he's going to be at generating these EMPs, because it's a big reason you play the Sombra. It's
Congratulations, you're not contesting cart, and you're losing the fight.
better ult fight when you
What
do
are you
both.
what are you doing?
Redbird don't
What are you
seem to
doing,
need
Bobby
the
Wasabi?
ults. They've hunted down Surmajet, Sam and Hydra on the flank perma, and I think if Surmajet continues to have issues living, OG might have to make a swap towards the Brigida.
It's interesting to see that they're playing the ball with the Ana. Usually you'd play the Winston with
Even the caster gets
the
it.
Ana instead.
Good.
Because the Winston's a much better nano target than the ball is. And I
Well, the nano target will be the Echo, not the ball, but
do wonder if this means Samajed's going to be primarily giving over that nano to other people like Speedily or
Yeah.
perhaps to King instead. Ultraviolet already staking their claim on some forwards.
okay, and we're doing this, and we're rotating this up appropriately. We've decided that our Zen plus Diva are able to take a flank and control one angle of the flank for the dive with this comp, and it's roughly correct. I mean, Sigma was probably a little better for it than Diva was, but again, we've explained why that swap has happened over the last year or so, and this looks good.
Territory right here, and that means that Bobby Wasabi
And as they're doing this, and they have the Brig with them too, so it's a three-person fight over here. And Diva comes up. Oh no, Diva was already up here. Yeah.
King is now pulsing the support.
Sure. Okay, what is the rest of our team doing? What is the rest of Redbird doing? Realizing the fight is coming on over here, so closing in from that angle. Sure.
If he can stabilize this attack of Redbird, keep them anchored in this fight. You've hacked hydration. There is no escaping as Redbird are now halfway towards point B after effortlessly capping point A as a self-destruct is now invested. OG's been isolated by Reiner, so that's an easy kill. And Redbird continued to
This got ugly.
Lemon, this entire B defense from Bobby Wasabi has basically been admin from point A. They're trying to
No, I mean, it's like there is no point B defense from Bobby Wasabi. They still think they're playing Brawl.
clean up their file system because they just can't find anything right now. Reiner, do they want to go for the aerial interception on Speedly? You bet that they do.
Okay, who's your coach? Bobby Wasabi. This is your roster. Oh, I see the problem. They are running. Oh no, they do. Yeah, they're running without a coach. They are running without a coach. They don't have a former. Acquired the spot of American Tornado, which probably means someone like False held the spot. That doesn't really make sense because False joined American Tornado late, so it was probably someone else. Interesting. Okay. Back to this and that. Sorry, guys. I had to do my research because I wanted to understand why this team was still playing Brawl with Dive Heroes. And not Talon Dive, which would be Brawl with Dive Heroes, but playing Brawl, playing like they were playing Brawl when they had a dive, when they were clearly playing a dive comp that's supposed to dive.
This objective area with that minefield and make it real painful for Bobby Wasabi to exist there.
And Redbird, I mean, this is the first time they've slowed down ever. As Reiner and Sam will go on the left side towards Bank.
Redbird is going to set up. Redbird is set up with 3 people over here. They're set up with... Is that... There's 2 balls. Which ball is which? Okay, there we go. Now we have enough color to it. So they've set up appropriately here. You see that they've set up with their core of Diva, Zen, and Briggs over here for Redbird. Their ball is over here, and we almost know that their Tracer... Oh, there we are. There's either their Sombra or their Tracer, and the other one is probably going to be over here or might be hanging out with Ball or could be hanging out with them. Doesn't really matter. But regardless, they have control. They have their core of 3 right here. That's a really bad 3. They have their core of 3 right here. They have at least 1 over here. They have at least 1 over here. They've already got 3 angles. They might have a 4th angle, or their last flanker might be reinforcing one of their other 2 flankers. But either way, this is a good setup. This is how you win fights. You're going to be able to hit this around and just totally overwhelm your opponents. Even in this situation where they're on low ground and Bobby Wasabi is on high ground. But I suspect they'll rotate up to high ground. If not, they'll do it with point pressure.
Right. Many angles as Bobby Wasabi. Who are they going to want to coalesce on, and who is going to be the nano target for Sir Majet?
Okay. So we've got Rally and Nano coming in. Of those, we'd expect Rally to get more value.
As we're waiting to find
There's the minefield.
And I would imagine it's Speedily, and maybe why he's getting the attention of the Discord orb from Ultraviolet.
False?
Imagine it speedily and maybe why he's getting
False
the
is there.
attention of the
False throws the self-destruct. What's your health pool when you do that, False?
out, and I would imagine it speedily and
That's an offensive self-destruct.
why
That is
he's
an offensive
getting the
self-destruct because your health is
attention of the
totally
Discord
fine.
from Ultraviolet. Meanwhile, Redbird,
No.
the rally, the
No. I'm disappointed in that self-destruct.
self-destruct, and more. Redbird continue to get kills.
False just put down their self-destruct on top of a sleeping iron.
Yeah, no, I get what he was doing, but I'm disappointed.
Interesting choice right there, and does
And it wasn't like totally garbage because if you look at what it's actually trying to do, the idea is it's going to get value of False is supposed to survive. It's supposed to destroy Iron's mech over here, and it's supposed to destroy this minefield. It's not actually supposed to get any eliminations. It's supposed to be a mech elimination plus a canceling what's left of the minefield. So there's like enough value to justify it. Barely. I'd have just said no. You speed just a moment off canceling that minefield with shield dash. That is not a good interaction to exist. And we've fortunately, we solved that for adaptive shield. Like the interaction of canceling adaptive shield or minefield with a stun was never a good interaction because it's not like, oh, skill shot, I got my timing intentionally right to do it. It's always just luck when people get it. Because it's not like, oh, this is the right time to do it. Is you're mashing the button because you want to stop them. You don't want to get their ability off, and sometimes you just get lucky and we're canceling it back before they fixed adaptive shield anyway.
Continue to get kills.
False just put down their self-destruct on top of a sleeping iron. An interesting choice right there, and does get them their met back at least for a moment. Ultraviolet for now, trying to be the primary DPS. We know that there's Zenith's fearsome, and there they are going to take out speedily. Ultraviolet
Sure.
going to be finished off by King, and Sam has to.
I mean, yeah, that was kind of what we expected to happen.
Now. Is it worth it? Do we win this fight if I invest it, Lemon?
Yeah, if only you could do damage while in Transcendence, I think Ultraviolet would just beam not only that echo down.
Zen.
Honestly, let Zen kick while he's in Transcendence. At the very least, a melee, but Hydron finishes off King and a Redbird. Maybe I've had some momentum stifled, but they have a lot of important ults as Sam gets discovered out of invisibility.
Yeah, no, this is fine.
Still no one really looking at him as he wants to hit that echo with the EMP, but decides to wait.
Alright, now the EMP is ready. It could shut down the mines, but hydration has dropped potentially onto. Alright, now the EMP is ready. It could shut down the mines, but hydration has dropped potentially onto the
you were trying to
Redbirds.
stick ball, sure.
Line. Hydration gets too close to the pulse bomb, and those who touch the sun will get burnt. Hydron now free to continue farming up, but they are going to be waylaid slightly by the armor.
Oh no!
Ouch. The late rally.
Too far gone.
That's so rough because I think Hydration got pulsed, right? And then False was trying to keep the
Evened
mech
up
and
our
go to
comps
OG with the
effectively.
rally, but OG didn't W in.
I mean, we're well past evening up our comps, but
there was a miscommunication from Bobby of who
other
was
than the
gonna
Sombra
touch
the Echo,
point,
of course.
and nobody did. So that rally was completely wasted.
Should still be able to get a nice EMP on core, though, and punish them. And that gets you one of the 2 fight wins you need. Well, not if Reiner goes down.
Just thinking about the threat of using it being enough. There we go, though. Shuts down the engage.
Oh my god, the Transcendence.
Being enough. Still has the CMP. And maybe they're just thinking about the threat.
I mean, I guess. You're down one. But if you want to invest EMP and rally, and you do, you win still if you invest both. Sure.
Being enough. There we go, though. Shuts down the engage.
Well, that Transcendence is a problem.
God, the Transcendence.
That shuts both of them down effectively.
So
That's a problem.
By the EMP, keeps
Well,
nice
that works then.
Until Sam hacks King, deals with that speedily with a 2K trade. There's a lot happening in this tiny room, and these are all mobile characters that would prefer to be outside touching grass. But 3 minutes left, and Redbird don't have Lucamino or Hydron. But these guys.
Yeah, that was a nice Transcendence answering a lot of things there.
Okay, let's go in this together, friends.
Yeah, Reiner just keeping a little bit of a forward position there to try and keep Sam's translocator defended, knowing that Sam needs to stay in there.
How we are on ults on this, so we're just going to farm up ults from either team. Pulse Bomb, Transcendence, and Minefield from Redbird versus Duplicate, Self-Destruct from Bobby Wasabi. Rally is close from Bobby Wasabi. Trying to attack as Redbird into this. I mean, you are guys are playing mostly mirrors. The difference that you run into, you can obviously look for your pickoff plays with you. You can get your pickoff plays more effectively with Redbird from your combination of Discord plus your 3 flankers. Whereas Bobby Wasabi has a more legit poke phase, but they don't want to play into their more legit poke phase because they don't want to give Sombra time to build EMPs. That's still the one of the 2 most effective ults on the board. Rally being the other. Okay. So I think we are going to see. Oh, we're getting a replay. Fine.
Oh, so this is what happened in the back. Speedly just had to copy the Zen, and then was
it's a very old replay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Hopper, skipper, and a jump of pain.
Yeah, some of these 1v1s are kind of crazy. Even Ultraviolet has been kind of kicking butt.
It's not. What do you mean even? Ultraviolet's pretty good, guys.
But Redbird, can they push this payload to the end? We're getting close to an EMP from Sam and the Transcendence from Ultraviolet. The rally
Sure.
OG, the pulse bomb from Hydron misses at the pile drive from.
So we didn't get to see exactly how this fight started because we were busy watching a replay.
Yeah, some of these 1v1s are kind of.
We're still trying to trade this out. We don't really know how Redbird got in to this effect.
Kind of kicking butt.
Bobby Wasabi has a bit better map control than they've had in the past, but it looks to me like we are looking at this. Like, why is our dive team all stacked in the same place without having dove? Why do we have our ball, our tracer, and our echoes up there somewhere, all in the same place? Might be down here. All in the same place, staging off the same platform to dive. Like, we want to dive from angles. 2 of them could be together while the third's at a different place. That'd be fine. Our backline could be together. We could be in a situation where, again, these 3 are hanging out together, sure, but these 3 together, that, like, yes, now your surround has to be between this group, and that's not really a recipe for success. Like, yeah, you should get a surround between this group and this group, but you need to cut someone out of this group and have them come in from a third. There is a certain magic of 3 in Overwatch, and some of that has to do with team size, some of that has to do with how all of the maps are designed to have 1, 2, 3 lanes.
Redbird.
Yeah.
Can they push this payload to the end? We're getting close to an EMP from.
Like, why do we not have one of our flankers up over there on that? Okay, I can't actually point at it from where we are. Again, I hate not having map control.
Sam. And the Transcendence from Ultraviolet. The rally starts from OG. The pulse bomb from Hydron misses at the pile drive from Reiner. Maybe locks down some of these supports.
Sure.
Ultraviolet doesn't unleash the Transcendence in time. The pile drive from Reiner. Maybe locks.
So you go for the EMP here. EMPing while they have rally going. I feel like you just don't tackle their rally head on. Like, I really feel like unless you get the EMP off first, you don't tackle their rally head on. Unless, again, if you got eliminations or something, for sure. But I don't really want to EMP into an even fight when they already have rally going.
Down some of these supports. Ultraviolet doesn't unleash
no, thank you.
In time before he's taken out, and the EMP
yeah.
was used from Sam, but not enough people from Redbird were even still alive. So Redbird panicked, and this will cost them.
Speedly's just so valuable on a defense because Speedly is never dying without a trade. Every time Speedly goes in, even if it's into the worst position, they're getting a quintuple stick, they're finding a focusing beam, they're taking one down with them, and because they're on the defense, they're getting back so much faster on this point C. Seems like the swap over to the Cowboy here for Hydron.
Oh, interesting.
Ordered to try and take.
It's not terrible. I don't like it, but it's not terrible.
Care of Speedly, this ex-teammate of theirs, they know.
Obviously, it's a solution to deal with, hey, we want to go ahead and deal with I mean, yeah, this is effectively American Tornado. These are effectively ex-teammates, whatever, of American Tornado. And what we're looking at is the idea. This is an old idea, though. Like in the old world, yes, you could use McCree to potentially answer, potentially check the Echo, not be terrible against the Tracer. Like, yeah, okay, McCree's pretty good. McCree's okay against these heroes. Not good against all these heroes at once, but is individually pretty good against these heroes. With the range fall off, though, this is a big enough space that they're playing in. I don't know about this one. Like, yes, you're going to get some Discord help. Yes, it's still hard to dive you because it's McCree plus Brig. There's a reason that this comp was a thing. I don't think it's still the thing. I think there's a reason we've moved away from this. I really think that fall off is going to be a problem here.
How annoying he can be on this.
Yeah, Redbird really wanted to take control of the high ground, but okay, I guess we're gonna clear the mines with the Transcendence. Sure, why not? Redbird want control of this high ground so badly, but hey, no, you know.
Now we get the second Transcendence.
Card has been played. Sir Majed with his own Transcendence pushes Redbird right off of that high ground. And without Speedily, it's going to be a little bit tough for the defense to keep up, as they might have to back away, especially after the rally usage of Luke Mino. We look back.
Cameraman can't find who he wants. Iron takes that down, sure. False is going to go down here. Well, is it getting staggered out of the mech? Yeah, I suppose it is.
Clears the path. The red carpet to victory. Redbird, 30 seconds left. It's do or die.
Are you going to take high ground, Hydron, or are you going to play from here? So your team's not going in, but you're also not spending the time taking high ground. Okay. I'm not convinced that that means McCree was the right pick, but I'll take it.
With how low they are in the back line, if someone could find their way onto that Zen, they won't be around for long.
Oh, this hold from Bobby Wasabi is going to come down to the wire. They have to wait for their DPS. Speedily emerges on the Doomfist. Close walls. He can get the execution. He does so onto Ultraviolet.
Sure.
Luke Mino has to be next on the hit list.
Fine.
Ryder, he kills two with the mod. So their DPS speedily emerges on the Doomfist.
Bouncing up off this.
Get the execution.
I mean, there's nothing False can do from there, or OG. Yeah.
Has to be next on the hit list, but Ryder, he kills two with the mines. Redbird stabilized once again on the card, shutting the door.
Okay. So finish in overtime. I don't expect Bobby Wasabi is going to be able to push this through, to be perfectly honest. But let's see how Bobby Wasabi does playing this the whole way through, instead of being on the wrong comp to start. I want to see if they'll do a little better job playing this more as a dive comp, poke dive comp, as opposed to, you know, playing tight together, stacking, like they can on their Brawl or their Talon dive.
Schools in session. Ding dong. Let's see if Bobby.
Okay, so we've got again our nice angles set up here. We just had Sombra, who was here, teleport out. We've got Tracer here. We have our core here. Yep, this is appropriate. This is something that we like. Three different angles. You actually had your ball over there as well, but that's fine. Whereas this, we have this, and then we have Tracer has left. So does Hydration need to be here moving the cart? Well, Hydration could move cart. That's okay if Hydration wants to move cart. I would probably prefer King moves cart, but it's okay if Hydration wants to move cart. But if that's happening, we need to spend some of this core rotating up this way to go try to fight over here. Like core needs to go, hey, we're going to rotate up over here. Maybe they're going to do that. Maybe they're just all together for this one last step to get this cart to like here, and then the core is going to rotate. I hope so.
Wasabi can go to the end of the map.
Please tell me you're kidding. Please tell me you're kidding. Your backline's not going to be able to support it enough.
After they got full held on Numbani by Redbird, as that initial dive from Bobby Wasabi goes to the top right. Managed to get a first pick at range onto Hydron.
Yeah, it seems like Hydron was on a different page to the rest of the team. Reiner and I were covering a retreat.
I might want to go evaluate Reiner's ball specifically at some point. I won't be able to do it with this tape, but with other tape. Okay, so here we are. And I don't really like this wildly better, but at least you'll notice, even though it looks like, oh, look, this is the same problem that Bobby Wasabi had, where they sort of got caught in here and then they backed up in here. No, it's only their core backing up this time. You'll notice ball broke off. And the core is saying, hey, we want to be the more brawly thing, the thing that's harder for your divers to come into. We'll play in the enclosed space that limits the number of different sight lines that you can threaten us from, because they all sort of narrow into this one sight line. And yeah, that makes sense. If you're sort of the brawl component of your comp against a more divey comp, and you're the backline like that, you're limiting the ways that they can come in. That makes sense, but that's not your whole team. Their team is more spread out.
OG answer, Marjed, and a quick stun headshot was all that she wrote.
And they're going. We do at least see that Bobby Wasabi is going for a good surround here.
Hydration, sorry. There's hydron and hydration.
And Reiner got picked off by something we didn't see. Okay.
They should end up on the same team.
Please don't.
The Hydro homies. That's what they would be, honestly. But, well, Hydro homies. That's what they would be, honestly.
Speedily gets hacked. And ultimately goes down to the Sombra plus UV combination. Okay.
Speedly's hacked, and well, even though the supports are right near him, just not enough body blocking. Ultraviolet still carves through all of them. Speedily might be missing, but Bobby Wasabi are still hanging around. Their supports will be in mini pack room. It's actually hacked by Sam, so they're not going to benefit.
Okay. Sure, this is fine. Reiner's trying to force the fight in here. He has a fair amount of adaptive shield on top of this right now. This is reasonable. And then he's got what? Iron threatening from the other direction. They've got a pincer on the three-man group in here. Probably not actually ready to fight the three-man group right in here, though.
From that, good shield.
Like, angles are good, but this is still numbers. Now your tracer shows up. Yeah, so that's a timing issue. Timing and direction is a lot of Overwatch, but if you only get one of the two components right, well, you only got one of the two right. You just fell on a... Did you just fall on that?
And Bobby Wasabi slowly but surely getting this.
What ultimately got credit for taking it on? The melee, okay.
Sam's been forced to play from so far away. A huge amount of damage taken there by Samarjed by being proximal to a pulse bomb that was perilously laid down. But Bobby Wasabi, they appear to have all their ducks in a row when it comes to this attack. Do you dare go forward? You do. King rolls for dice, and it all comes up sixes when you're going up against Sam. And that's going to mean that Bobby Wasabi have a little bit more freedom to operate here, because Sam isn't going to be able to bring out that early EMP. Sure, they can use it as soon as they get here, but this allows for Bobby Wasabi to make a concerted effort to get onto high ground before Sam arrives.
Okay.
Defensive Redbird already have high ground control.
So as we look at our ults going into this fight, we have, for Bobby Wasabi, who are trying to push in, they do have their duplicate, their minefield, and their rally, and their transcendence, and really self-destruct isn't far behind. So they've got a nice ult bag, but they're playing up against double support ult, EMP, and probably minefield themselves. So this is, again, a big messy one. I'm going to be curious if Sam is willing to pop EMP into Bobby Wasabi while rally's going, like he did earlier, because I was not a fan of that.
Bobby Wasabi.
Redbird's going to surrender some space here. While they're surrendering space, their flanker should be taking angles. Yep. I don't actually think you can do enough with just that, but it does drive back, which buys you a longer poke phase. Okay. And as they back off because of the hack, they're able to retake their high ground, or they're able to push back up and take their more aggressive high ground. To fight who, Speedily? Okay.
I'll do it myself. Copies him, beams him down. Now they force a transcendence and the rally from Luke Mino and Ultraviolet. This is so bad for Redbird. They either need to win this fight or Bobby Wasabi can turn things around. They still have a transcendence from Surmajet left. Or Bobby Wasabi can
you go into that. You go for that. Do you focusing beam there? Yeah, because focusing beam stops her from doing anything else. Okay. And then because she can't do anything else. The self-destruct works. Okay.
Falls with a double kill. Self-destruct takes care of the resources of Redbird. And this is Bobby Wasabi with the momentum pushing towards B.
Dude, Speedley's got a brain on him to go for a stick there on the translocator to make sure that they'd be able to get an honest duel with Sam afterwards, knowing that Sam could not take that translocator, otherwise they'd just be throwing themselves into oblivion. Bobby Wasabi still have some momentum here, but Ultraviolet cancels that. It's just a Zendif.
Okay.
I drop this, post bomb on the ground. Bobby Wasabi don't have Sir Majed, but everyone else should be still around. As King is looking for a...
Okay, so we've split up here. We see a little bit of a different formation in terms of we've only got our 2 supports here. It's because we're anchoring, having D.Va anchor cart. Okay, that's fair. Are we going to get some right control from Bobby Wasabi, or are we going to push in? Or are we going to be able to fight for left control from Redbird? Redbird wants some left control, but they're pretty satisfied with the low ground, which is a bit surprising.
Very deep into point B, relying on some pokes, seeing if they can bait Bobby Wasabi towards the cart, and then that's when Sam can cover as many people.
We're not going to send someone from Bobby Wasabi, any of the flankers, to pressure cart
as possible with this EMP.
I mean, especially after you pulled them back. Like, you pulled back the core back here, which is good, but I assumed the intent of pulling back the core here wasn't actually to get an elimination, though it would be fine if it was. I just don't see enough players there to make that happen. While that's happening, can we get a ball, a tracer, etc. to push this a little? Like, we can't send Speedily to do it, but okay. I guess we can't, just based on positions. I just wish I could see a little more. Yeah, Tracer's too deep to do it. Okay. Okay, so Bobby Wasabi is making their play to get control of top right there.
Found the translocator. They want to destroy that. There we go, and that's going to potentially make sure that Sam is once again not playing at the tempo they want. Bobby Wasabi can cover this area.
Oh my god, the cojones on this guy just blinks into the D.Va while the Brigitte is there to go for the pulse, and it's not going to find the Assassination King was hoping for.
Almost. Did they do enough by getting control of red side with their core there, or threatening red side with their core there? Yeah, it looks like they did.
Where the defense are going to have a hard time moving through, and it might be up to Reiner to quite literally get rid of them. And
there's the Transcendence.
As the Transcendence of Ultraviolet tries to stabilize Redbird, but there's no one to stabilize. They're all dead.
So that comes downstream of effectively doing the right thing, saying, hey, we're going to get our core up to go threaten over here so that your core doesn't have the dominance of the high ground that's far away, etc. So that our core can threaten your core, and then our people can threaten from the opposite side again. I don't apologize for not being able to draw well here. I don't have control of the map. And they can threaten from the other side with their flankers, with their echo, etc. So that was, again, the team fight is downstream of the good positioning, the good rotation.
Welcome to Overwatch bowling, ladies and gentlemen, where you use balls to hit balls into smaller balls that explode. And that right there was a strike of hydration.
But he's not the 8-ball. Does that work? Doesn't he need to be the 8-ball or the bowling ball, or doesn't he need some sort of skin to make that joke work? Skin's turned off in Contenders. Sort of.
What a beautiful bit of play there from Hydration. Really just understanding that sometimes all you got to do is spin to win. You don't have to get fancy with it.
Well, once the minefield's already down and there's a lot of point pressure on them, sure. Okay, why did you get that out so easily? So here you are.
And sometimes all you got to do is spin to win. You don't have to get fancy with it.
Yeah, no.
Why?
Really just understanding that sometimes all you got to do is
Sir Majid, I gotta understand why this Transcendence is used. Oh, because you went down to half health. So, in theory, the flankers are making an elimination play on you? King, really just King has to be threatening you. No, not King. Okay, we are right there. So, did Tracer just recall?
Really just understanding that sometimes all you got to do is spin to win. You don't have to get fancy with it.
No. So some combination of Reiner and Sam are enough to force Sir Majid's Transcendence there without Hydron. And then they want to push because they're using Transcendence. So Sir Majid's Transcendence shouldn't have been forced that early. There wasn't any pulse bomb or anything. But they're going to try to engage off of it, and this is correct on our ball here. And that's hey, we got the rally in exchange. That maybe equalizes a bit for the Transcendence. But now we're also going to spend double self-destruct, duplicate plus self-destruct. That's a lot of volt power being spent from Bobby Wasabi on a fight that probably didn't start exactly how they wanted it to, but again, they rotated up properly with their backline core. When they get to think more about that brawl stuff, when they rotate to use their backline properly, things do work well for them. I hope they can get better at that.
Feeling too good, Mr. Krabs. They don't have
I didn't expect them to make it to third, so I'm happy to see this.
To hopefully have one last fight before Bobby Wasabi cap.
Majed picks up 2 killing blows on a pair of
Instead, they're doing quite fine.
A little bit too far, and I'm afraid that this is not your kingdom anymore, because Sam has hacked it all away. They turned out all the lights, they blow out the candles, and they say
EMP is pretty good. And we didn't send EMP into Rally that fight. We used EMP long after Rally was gone.
Started that fight. They lost so much, kind of had the soft reset, and all they did was bait them into the EMP, and Sam turned things around. This is quite literally tiny Overwatch.
Oh, tiny Overwatch.
Not quite.
To never cast you.
Me neither.
I can't see anything, Lemon. What I can see though is a pair of minefields. Smile.
I can't see out of my eyes, Lemon.
Hydron, I think you land an early pulse bomb here, especially onto someone like OG. That would be integral. Takes me back to early 2020 when we just saw Dalton bullying OG with pulse bomb after pulse bomb. Like when they were playing for Envy at the time.
Oh, Hydron playing chicken, trying to go to town this lane to deliver.
With the
I can't see out of my eyes, Lemon.
So we're pushing up.
Hydron, I think you land.
Pushing up as we look at this. Bobby Wasabi are going to have to finish the map. They've got very little in terms of tools to do it. They've got their Minefield and Transcendence back. They're playing into lots. Minefield, Transcendence, Pulse Bomb. Rally isn't far. That's going to be tough. So are they going to rotate up right side again? That looks kind of mid. That looks kind of mid. I'd prefer the right rotation. Okay, you can't actually win that ball versus Tracer Trade, and you respect that and back out, but then your Zen backs you up, but your Zen is discorded and could easily go down there. And does.
Playing chicken, trying to go to town this lane to deliver that pulse bomb. I'm surprised he.
That was a good battle over left lane there.
Are dead. Neither able to activate the Transcendence to save their life, trying to go.
I mean, slamming the ball. Okay.
Be a little bit more patient as Hydration lays the mines, but I think his team were kind of taking a second to get Surmajed back. I think they realize the importance of having him in. When Ultraviolet will be back quicker, he'll be able to use the Transcendence quicker, and Redbird having an earlier advantage. But Bobby Wasabi made the mistake, and they're getting punished for it, and they're getting just staggered now.
Alright, I'm going to be a Hydration Apologist 53 here. I think they may have popped out those mines, hoping that they'd be able to force out the Transcendence from Ultraviolet. Knowing that we're so far for the cart to move, that having a minefield wasn't ideal because it'll be a while before.
Big push in with core and flankers? You can do it. Like, it's going to win if you push with core and flankers here, and they're probably not going to reinforce this from Redbird's side here. I'd still prefer that you send flankers through mid if you send your core through right side here.
We get to that final and most effective location, but Reiner.
Yeah, you're not on the Moira anymore.
Last time.
Everyone is chasing Hydron. He's like, guys.
Oh no.
With the rally.
It's like,
okay.
I have 4 people looking at.
Yeah, again, I don't think that's right. Like, we do this.
He's like, guys.
This is fine. You can't really change your mind at this point if you're ball. But you just leave. You decide you can't leave. You decide you want an EMP on top of the rally. I don't think so. No, you decide that EMP plus Minefield is going to be okay. That's fair. EMP Minefield in there is going to beat Rally, sure.
This is a bloodbath.
Welcome back to the Tiny Overwatch National Championships. We have your finalists here, Redbird Esports and Bobby Wasabi, who don't like going into large rooms. They prefer to keep it tiny. They prefer to keep it small. And right now, the only thing that's getting even smaller is the time bank of Bobby Wasabi. Only 30 seconds remain. still, if they can get a completion, it's not like there's a huge advantage here for Redbird. Everyone was just huddled in there, and that made for a massive EMP from Sam.
Just the bait and switch textbook of everyone chasing Hydron having hearing.
So we do have to finish the map here for Bobby Wasabi. There's definitely pressure on them to do that. If they don't, they simply lose. They need to win one fight. They might need to win 1.5 fights. But they do actually have the ult bank to do it, and they're close enough to do it.
And then the EMP mines, incredible stuff. Now Bobby Wasabi with the last fight, but maybe the last.
I don't think you self-destruct that early.
A lot of ultimates. Iron sends a self-destruct
Yeah.
to make sure no one was inside that room, which I guess sparks the transcendence usage of Sir Majed. That goes away. You have no support ultimates if you're Bobby Wasabi,
Sure.
but you do have 2 bombs for the price of 1. Speedily with the Diva duplicate. King with the pulse bomb that hits Luke Mino. Ultraviolet has to keep his team standing until hydration makes him a human pancake. Now Redbird with no support, but they have respawn advantage. Can they live long enough to spark another fight as Bobby Wasabi look down the barrel of point C?
And we come up at the very end here, at least of the attack from Bobby Wasabi. But it looks like you got enough eliminations from Redbird that your respawn wave should pretty easily wipe this out. Yeah.
Hydration got double hacked, and that
Yeah.
EMP from Sam continued.
That does it. Okay, so nothing too weird there. They actually did keep that better than closer than I expected. Bobby Wasabi, rather than going, yes, we're really going to take advantage of our angles and such, instead went, we're going to sort of bait you into fighting us in closed spaces. And then both teams went, well, we have things we can do in closed spaces. And that's kind of from the double bubble era, where you merge your divey stuff, even your pokey stuff, sometimes with more brawly win conditions. Brawl ultimately is how most fights end, even with full poke comps. But that's not too wild to see. I'm glad to see that they were able to bring that back. I'm probably guessing, again, I haven't seen enough contenders over the last day or two to know what the bracket looks like. I know people consider Redbird to be a or the favorite. Bobby Wasabi doesn't look like a serious challenger to me here. Like, if you told me they were the number 3 or the number 4 team, no problem. If this is the number 2 team, there's going to be a pretty big gap between what I see here. And I do see some stuff where Bobby Wasabi would benefit from getting some coaching to clean up some of their rotations, to clean up some of their understandings of how to take engages. But we'll see here. As for Redbird, I would like to see a little bit more of what Sam can do with some of this stuff. Obviously, Reiner had some nice plays. Ultraviolet played quite nicely. Hydron, sure, no problems there. Like to see a little more from Iron. Yeah. Sir Majid didn't wow me. Speedily played well. I'm not surprised to see that, though. But I don't think these are not going to be, if this is the 1 and 2 teams, it's not going to be a terribly interesting this tournament or next tournament. I don't know that they are, though. I suspect that we're probably looking at as the other team to watch is Uprising Academy, who have gone with a full Korean roster, if memory serves, but they didn't go with a Korean coach, which is a little interesting. But yeah. Okay, if people have questions, you can go ahead and throw them in chat now. You obviously can throw them in chat whenever. I didn't mean to stop you guys. If you guys have been dropping follows, I do appreciate that. I'm sorry, I don't think I have my thing set up properly. I effectively haven't on this computer streamed on Twitch basically in forever. I think I did in a previous build of this computer, but I basically lost everything from that. So any sort of notifications that should have gone out basically didn't. I'm sorry, guys. I'll try to set that up before the next one. I appreciate them regardless. And I think we are probably good there. I can take a quick look through the Overwatch category to see if there's anyone interesting here to host. Let's take a quick look. How are we doing, Overwatch? But yeah, if you guys have questions, absolutely do throw those up there. I sped up the analysis a little bit at the end there. I don't think there was anything too wild to get into, but if you feel like I missed something that you cared about, we can most certainly cover it. probably going to be a no. No. At this point, none of those make sense. Okay. Let's flip back here one more time. And I think it's there. It's all on your to-do list. Thank you, Blah. Thank you. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Temporal out.